Is it Climb? Is it Force? Corey Heim!
Side by side, it's going to be Aaron Salamito.
200 laps from the Martinsville Speedway, the 2024 ValleyStar Credit Union 300, with Kyle Dudley bringing us down for the start. Green flag is in the air. 200 laps to a grandfather clock. Here we go. Everybody clean through turns 1 and 2. Battle for the lead continues in 3 with Carson Quapple and Dudley battling for the top spot, and Kyle Dudley's going to maintain the streak of having the perfect day so far. He leads lap 1 with Sellers looking inside of Quapple for 2nd and 1.
And again, $25 given out to the Dalton's Racing Products lap leader for each lap that a respective driver will lead tonight in the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. Kyle Dudley able to escape by a couple of car lengths, is now Peyton Sellers looking to challenge for the 2nd spot as he goes side by side with Carson Quapple. He's a position above that driver he's trying to chase in the Virginia Triple Crown standings, and Connor Hall, who sits by in 4th. And then you got a side-by-side battle going on for the 5th spot as well. Buddy Isles Jr. looking to hang it out topside with Stuart Cruz, who we've mentioned has been so strong all throughout the runnings this entire weekend. Looks like he may have claim in the 5th spot for now.
Cruz in that white number 29 car, multi-time winner at South Boston Speedway, has caught the attention of just about everybody. Everyone across social media is wondering what is more to the story of that 29 car, because we've not seen a lot about him on a national scale. This is his first attempt at the ValleyStar Credit Union 300, and he's running great in the top 5 with Mike Looney and Buddy Isles door-to-door, 87 and 11 respectively behind him.
And right now, Buddy Isles Jr., we talked about early in the day how that middle to 2nd lane was viable, and it was a lane you could go up there to defend, and certain cars could make it work. Right now, it is not working for Buddy Isles Jr. Almost wasn't working that time for the number 12 of Jake Crum, Jared Fryer, at least early in the going, thinking about going 3 wide at this early juncture of the race. It's a little further on back, just the outskirts of the top 10, is Connor Jones. Again, somebody kind of like Tristan McKee that we were talking about that really had a good long-run car, kind of mired back in the field. But we'll see what that number 44 car can do right now, as Peyton Sellers has managed to pull about a car length gap over Connor Hall.
Just as we were singing the praises of Stuart Cruz, he gets kicked up to the high side, loses a spot to former winner of this event, and Mike Looney. He's going to drop back a position. One of the late entrants in that of the 77, north of the border, Trayton Lapsevich in a newly designed Chad Bryant car, working his way up towards the top 10. And that 0-3 of Lee Pulliam vying for his 3rd Martinsville victory in a late model stock car, holding steady in the top 10 as well.
Single filed out, at least for the top several positions. And again, this is why qualifying, why those heat races are so important, because being able to get out here, and yes, you're racing hard, but you're really able to size each other up, see what kind of car both you have and the rest of the field that you single file out here. Give it about 25-30 laps or so and see if you're really dialed in at this point. That's why it's so beneficial to be up here for track position. You think about kind of races like you would see at a Florence Motor Speedway, where even saving tire, we know how crucial that can be, but still, you start at such a great advantage having that great track position. And you can see the fast cars are proving that right now, as Peyton Sellers, again, somewhat losing touch with Kyle Dudley, who has just been unbelievably fast throughout this entire day.
Here's the battle for position starting to materialize. That's Mike Looney in the 87, inside of outside front row starter Carson Quapple, who tried to shut the door, nearly came across the bow of Looney into turn 1, with Quapple not only protecting the spot, but growing the advantage by about a car length off turn 2.
And again, you have to mention for Quapple, think about what he said after winning his heat race a little bit earlier, that with some of the skirmishes that he had with Buddy Isles Jr., there was a little bit of damage. He said he was turning 90 degrees to the right to go straight on the straightaway. So you have to wonder how much of that were they able to remedy, and is that going to come into play as we go through these runs a little bit longer? Again, that damage happened to him late in that heat race, so how's he going to be able to hold up for 200 laps? Right now, it looks like Mike Looney has a very, very strong race car, at least on the short run through the opening 12 circuits.
That's a great point, Blake. There's a lot of cars out there with battle scars from the qualifying races earlier. We'll have to keep our eyes on several of those contenders as Looney looks to the inside. It was 2016 that Mike Looney went to victory lane here. Struggled last year, was 36th after some misfortune. But if you look back the last 3 seasons, 4th in 2022, runner-up in 2021. The driver out of Catawba, Virginia, has been close to his second win at this race. We'll see if he can grab it here tonight as he continues to hound Quapple for 4th.
It's Stuart Cruz. We keep talking about how strong he's been. He's gotten up into that battle as well. As we take a look back at where the progress sits for Trevor Ward. Remember, got a black flag on lap 1 to start his heat race after jumping the start. According to race officials on the outside lane, he parked it on track, was penalized for 2 laps, ended up coming back, getting those 2 laps back, transferred in, and already very early on in this race, Eric, we've seen it pretty much throughout the running that he has a very strong race car. He started back in the 27th position. He's already up to 22nd, and that is right in the heart of the pack, right where all of this traffic is. That says a lot about that 77 car, that with all these 2 wide battles happening in front of him, all the dirty air that's back there, yes, there is a little bit of dirty air here at Martinsville in these late model stocks. He's able to kind of carve through traffic.
Is Ronnie Bassett Jr. in the 04, winner on the Cars Tour at the Throwback Race at Hickory. Carter Langley, 2023 track champion at South Boston. As we flash forward up to the battle for 3rd, Connor Hall has fallen back into the clutches of Carson Quapple and company. Not sure if this is by design or if Hall may have a problem as he is gingerly working his way down the front stretch, allows Quapple to get past on the top side, and Mike Looney's going to try the same on the exit of turn 2.
I don't know if that was one of the cars I heard going by our broadcast booth up here. It did not sound all that great. As we get another listen on here. Yeah, there's something not right with that number 22 car.
That car is definitely laboring down the straightaway, and it's showing midway down the front and back stretch. And here comes Stuart Cruz. This is your Virginia Triple Crown points leader, and the driver who is looking for maybe the only thing that he hasn't done yet this season, and that is win that crown and this race. And he may have a pretty serious mechanical problem in his Nelson Motorsports number 22.
And again, you can see keeps up through the corners just fine, but you're going to see it center of the straightaway. He is laboring right now, and again, that is a problem that there are many racetracks in which he's competed, probably at his home track of Langley as well, where you could get away with that. But with these long straightaways here for these late model stocks at Martinsville, that is just not the case, as he'll lose another spot to Daniel Silvestri. And right now, again, he needed just a 5th place to be able to lock up the Virginia Late Model Triple Crown. And it looks like for now, Connor Hall wheeling, and it may be a long night for the Autos by Nelson Napa number 22.
And the bad news for that of Hall, even as he tries to offset some of the pace he's losing on the straightaway, should this race stay green, we're not guaranteed a caution for another 79 laps for the stage break. So Hall is looking for some help, if you will, to get that car to the attention of his crew if needed, as he continues to lose spots.
Spot by spot, he continues to fall. He'll lose another one to Cade Brown, who goes on by. Still soldiering on. Also, Carson Quapple, who was running up in about the 4th or 5th position or so. Looks like he's maintaining right there for now. But Connor Hall still running in the top 10 as things stand. You can see Buddy Isles Jr., who's fallen back into the 9th position, who's going to try his best to try and chase down that number 22. But yes, you can indeed hear it on the straightaways, laboring a little bit as you see the lead that was once a little bit larger than what we had a couple of laps ago for Kyle Dudley. Peyton Sellers starting to slowly but methodically reel him in, and with the pace that he's catching that number 4 car, they may just get to the back end of this field where lap traffic may become a factor as well.
Want to point out something that was reported by Matt Weaver, a longtime short track motorsports journalist monitoring the number 22 radio. They believe it might be an electrical issue. They told Connor, keep nursing it. Until we get a caution, we'll get a chance to work on it. Hall is trying to do everything he can, and he's kind of stopped the bleeding right now between that of Brown and Buddy Isles, as we see Sellers working on Kyle Dudley for the race lead on the backstretch.
Sellers looking low, showing that he is there. You're going to start to see some of the brake rotors glowing on some of these late model stocks, but Peyton Sellers now with a nose to the inside of Kyle Dudley. Carson Quapple has also made up some ground, and he's nearly a car length behind these two. But right now, side by side, off of turn number 2, Kyle Dudley has led the opening 26 laps of the 2024 ValleyStar Credit Union 300, and Peyton Sellers looks as if he will lead lap 27. Second leader in the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. It is the 26 of Peyton Sellers.
That's the first time all day since qualifying that 4 car has not been P1 when he is on the racetrack. What could he do to respond? Is now Carson Quapple looks low in turn 3, dives it up the inside, perhaps going to go to second spot. Is that a Quapple who throttles his way to an advantage in the middle of the corner? Dudley back to third, maybe fourth, as Mike Looney is lurking in that 87 car.
Yeah, you saw Dudley right there as they went down into turn number 1, kind of moved down the straightaway to try to protect over Mike Looney, who is starting to catch these front few. You can also see Stuart Cruz, Daniel Silvestri, Cade Brown somewhat doing the same, but Dudley right now starting to fade a little bit. Here comes Mike Looney. The bleeding is not over for the number 4 car, as Looney off at turn number 2 will look to try and snatch away that 3rd position. But we also have a battle brewing for the race lead, and it's not going to take very long. Carson Quapple, 3rd new race leader, and just about as many laps as he'll take over the top spot at Martinsville.
30 laps in the books. Carson Quapple to the point. Looney's going to get 3rd, as already the leaders have caught the tail end of the lead lap. So running through some of the back markers currently as things stand could also play a factor in who maintains control of this race. For Carson Quapple, this is his 3rd go with the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. He was a runner-up in his debut in 2022, 3rd here last year. Of course, this team got to win this race with Josh Berry a handful of years ago. Quapple certainly wants to try to nab himself a grandfather clock as well, and he's got one of the best Virginia-based racers behind him, pressuring him to the tail end of the field.
And again, there are some very good cars that are up the road in front of him. Andrew Grady was really strong in his heat. How about Landon Pimbleton, the Lee Pulliam Performance Machine, struggling right now and looks to go a lap down. In fact, Grady will just give Carson Quapple the outside lane. Quapple will go on by, but this is certainly going to be a factor here at Martinsville, and you can really see a visual difference there between these cars and how they're driving off the corner. Right now, Pimbleton just doesn't have the grip to be able to hook up when he hits the throttle, but you can see the difference as Quapple is able to easily go on by, and being very courteous are these cars that are going 1 lap down.
A topsy-turvy day for that of Pendleton, who just barely got into the show by finishing 10th in his respective heat race. He will pull over for what's typically a Sellers Racing teammate of his when he's driving his familiar 0 car that won the championship at Dominion for that of Pendleton, to allow Peyton to get by. He will offer a similar courtesy to Mike Looney in the 87 as Quapple continues to set sail on the back straightaway into 3 with the top spot in hand.
And this is why you need a really versatile car at this race, is the fact that lap traffic can certainly play in. And again, these cars, Pimbleton, Grady, have been very courteous in getting out of the way, letting these leaders continue to race, but they've done so by giving them the top lane. It's why you have to be able to go to the middle, to the top side, have confidence in your car, and be able to run out there very well. As you can see, Peyton Sellers, not even really a challenge there for Mike Looney, but starting to drift up the racetrack just a little bit in terms of where they're chasing the speed. You can see Quapple running very high, almost about half a car width or so out of that asphalt and concrete patch here in Martinsville, as here comes Mike Looney looking to challenge for 2nd.
A pair of previous winners of the ValleyStar Credit Union 300, now door-to-door for 2nd place. Looney on the inside in the 87, and Sellers is going to yield to give Looney the spot before they get to turn 1, as they'll now work over Ryan Matthews, who grabbed the last spot in the field in the final qualifying race, who's the only car between this duo and Quapple, the leader.
And again, it's not going to get any easier. Every single lap car that you pass, it's going to start to get harder and harder. As you can see, Ryan Matthews giving way to both cars, and Mike Looney and Peyton Sellers, who are rolling along. As far as an update on what Connor Hall was dealing with, we talked about the fact that he was fading for a little while there. He's kind of settled into the 8th position right now. You can see him kind of going into turn number 3 there for just a moment, but he kind of fell back all at once and has been relatively calm, maintained right now. So whatever befell the 22 car, it seems to be working itself out, or at least it's manageable enough. He has a fast enough car that he can continue to run out here, at least for the time being.
Quapple now is lapped up to Clay Jones, now to the inside of Doug Barnes Jr., lap leader here in this race a year ago. The 18 of another former winner in the field, and that of Jason York, next to go a lap down, with Quapple trying to get up to the inside. A little bit of a nudge there because Looney is closing. Quapple wants to cut through this field as quickly as he can to maintain the lead because Mike Looney is on a charge.
And you can see, again, just a little bit of a crinkle in the nose of that number 8 Chevrolet as Mike Looney will be able to find his way by Doug Barnes as well as Jason York, the number 18. But Looney is there, no doubt about it. He has chased down Carson Quapple, your race leader. It's Dylan Harville, who's just up the road, who would be the next car to perhaps go a lap down. But Mike Looney, not going to try to wait any longer, wants to become the 4th different leader of the ValleyStar Credit Union 300.
And he's got the fender inside. Mike Looney, who finished 3rd in points at South Boston Speedway in 2024, finishing 2nd multiple times, but not able to reach victory lane. 6 times he was the runner-up at his home track. Maybe he's saving the best for last here at Martinsville, but Quapple's able to use Harville as a pick to protect the lead.
Yeah, this is going to be tough. Again, Harville being courteous, giving them plenty of room, but is saying, if you are going to go around me, I'm going to make you do it on the outside in case we get a quick yellow to ensure that I get the lucky dog. Parker Eatman is next on the docket for Quapple to get by. This is where I think early portion of this race, you have 2 very smart veteran race car drivers in Carson Quapple and Mike Looney. I think they're going to be pretty straightforward here. Looney's going to try to get the lead if he can, but I don't foresee anything too aggressive happening or a bad calculation here, not with 156 laps to go.
It's Dexter Knight Jr. next up in the 5 car out the windshield of that of Carson Quapple. Peyton Sellers is second off the battle between the 8 and the 87 for the race lead, with Stuart Cruz running a very respectable 4th. Kane Brown, your top 5. Connor Hall has slid down to 8th. Update from the track, or I should say trackside from that, after what we saw from Matt Weaver's reports, is that they do believe it could be an engine issue on the 22. Connor's not all that sure it's going to make it, but right now he's holding his own.
That he is in the 8th position. Then you have Lee Polium right now, kind of riding around in the 9th spot. Matt Waltz will complete your top 10. And Trayton Lapsevich is falling back to the 11th position. Ryan Millington up to 12th. There's 1 car off the pace in the middle of turns 3 and 4, and I don't think he's going to be able to get all the way back around. What a promising night it started out to be for Buddy Isles Jr., who will draw the first caution flag of the night here at Martinsville.
Buddy Isles Jr. started up in the front 3 rows of tonight's race, started in 6th position. The driver who carries the colors that are synonymous with Virginia automobile racing, that Flying 11 VA, for that of the colors that Ray Hendrick made famous in his modified days. Of course, we lost Roy Hendrick just about a month and a half ago, and Isles, who was having a career night on pavement in his 2nd attempt at this race, unfortunately is going to have misfortune to draw us the first caution just about 3 laps shy of the quarter distance mark of the ValleyStar Credit Union 300.
And as you mentioned, again, somebody who I think coming into this race was far exceeding his own expectations. He was thrilled with the fast race car that he pulled up to Martinsville with all throughout the day, was fast in practice, proved it in qualifying. And just unfortunate to see it in this way. He'll continue rolling along as, again, we will be counting laps under caution at this point in the race. So Buddy Isles will take his car down to the pit lane as a couple of drivers have stopped in the middle of turns 3 and 4 to allow the field to kind of catch back up and bunch back up. Again, we had put a decent amount of cars, it seems, Eric, 1 lap behind the race leader. When Quapple crossed the stripe, at least as it's being scored to me, they had gotten up to just about, 32nd or 31st in the opening 45 some odd laps that we ran under green.
So Carson Quapple continues to lead over that of Mike Looney, and the pits are going to be open this time, and our eyes are certainly on the Nelson Motorsports number 22 to see if they elect to take advantage of coming down the pit lane to try to figure out what's going on with that car. Dylan Harville is going to take the opportunity to stop. Watching Connor Hall for now, and it appears as though he is going to stay out. So maybe the problems that were plaguing that car are at a point at which he feels like he can harness it as the work continues on the 11 car. It may have been more than just a flat tire for Buddy Isles Jr., who transitioned over to Van Dyke Racing Performance in the midway portion of the season. Even though this may not end up being the result that he was hoping for, he certainly flexed a lot of muscle at a discipline of motorsports that is relatively new to him.
see the work continuing for Buddy Isles Jr. One other car, in fact, a couple of cars will take the opportunity to go down into the pits. Dylan Harville taking the chance as well. Timothy Peters has also brought his car down. The 5 Dexter Knight Jr., who went a lap down a little bit earlier, also pulling in for service right there. As you can see, they pulled the hood off of the number 33 of Dylan Harville, the Gastown machine. And again, a lot of work. You mentioned teams that have done so much and put in so much effort to try and run this race. Remember the vicious crash that Dylan Harville had in that ZMAX Cars Tour race, of which he got airborne, and I remember talking to him prior to that race starting and said that he was planning on running kind of out the weekly slate at Ace, but should anything happen, they wanted to make sure that they were ready for this race at all costs. Unfortunately, that ended up being the case. This is the first time they've been back out on the racetrack competitively since that night.
A lot of attention being played to the left front wheel assembly of Buddy Isles Jr.'s car. And he may be running out of caution laps to see if they can get that car back out there. You see a little bit of a fire erupting there behind the brake caliper. The team continuing to go to work to see if they can get Buddy back in this race.
Yeah, it looks like they're not able to pull it out. And again, what is the one thing here at Martinsville that is just so tough for these late model stock cars is brakes. And even Mason Diaz, he'll be another one that joins your field of contenders who was pulled down into the pits. And again, more of a sense of urgency here with the fact that these laps under caution continue to count. It's not like most of these racetracks that I'm sure a number of these drivers compete at weekly, where the field is, well, the field's not frozen, but they stop counting laps, so it gives them plenty of time to work on their race cars. And you can see Diaz being quickly released just before he would have gone a lap down from the Toyota Camry pace car.
That's a great point. Even though this is a half-mile racetrack, even the caution laps go by quite quickly, not giving these teams a big opportunity to try to stretch whatever is needed to get their cars fixed and back out there. Might be a premature night.
I just saw it there for Jason York. You saw them say the words, "We're done."
Premature night for one of the former winners in the field. 8 former winners of the ValleyStar Credit Union 300 attempting to make the show here tonight. Jason York being one of them. But unfortunately, he is scored in 39th. Depending on what happens to Buddy Isles Jr., he may stay there or fall down to the 40th spot in the final running order.
Tough break for Jason York. I know Jamie York earlier had an issue that they had been battling all afternoon in that car and went out in heat race number 1 and unfortunately was not able to remedy it before that heat started. So a tough day for the York family, who I know had very high hopes coming into Martinsville today.
Coming to the one to go and choose this time as our chief starter Brandon Willard offers up the indication to the field. And Mike Looney wants a shot at Carson Quapple. He's going to elect the outside. As a matter of fact, all the way up till we get to Connor Hall, pretty much everyone assumed the positions that they would if they were to double up old school style. Hall's the only one who decided to duck out of line of what would have been the outside of row 4 for a safe spot to the inside lane as the 5th car, with Lee Pulliam taking advantage of the void. It is Quapple, Looney, then Sellers, your front 3 off the choose.
Lights are out, but they're probably going to put it back on again. Having 40 cars choose is quite a chore. We are still in the middle of choosing for about the back half of the field right now. You can see the pace car slowing. They're going to try to do it, but I don't know.
You've heard of the term counting cards. I bet you all the spotters are counting cars right now to try to figure out what may be the most open lane to take to gain the most spots, and we're going to try and do it. Field is kind of stacking up a little bit on the back straightaway. Carson Quapple is going to bring us back down for the green flag. We'll be 47 laps from the halfway break. It is Quapple and Looney on the front row for the restart.
They're already racing in the back of the field to try to catch up.
Dive to the inside. That was Stuart Cruz who tried to make the move, and now he's stuck in the middle 3 wide with Pulliam losing spots off of 2.
He'll lose a couple. Millington also got shoved out of the groove. How about Connor Hall making a move down to the inside? He's able to make his way by. Is Cruz shoved up and into the marbles? He has a problem, and he will stop at the top end of turn number 4. One of the great stories of the ValleyStar Credit Union 300 this year. He continues rolling down the front straightaway. No caution yet.
Race is going to stay green. Quapple the clear leader. It is Cade Brown up in the third spot, ahead of Sellers, who lost a couple of positions. Daniel Silvestri to fifth.
Great moves on these restarts, and we know how important they are. Cade Brown able to take advantage of what was going on in front of him. He'll go low to defend there from Looney. As you can see, all the battling. This is kind of where everything got jumbled up, right? Lee Pulliam got shoved up wide. So did Ryan Millington. Brent Cruz and Bobby McCarty were looking 3 wide a couple of laps ago. Well behind your race leaders as they lost a significant amount of time trying to sort that out. But we have another battle for the race lead. Carson Kvapil trying to fend off Mike Looney down into turn number 3.
Looney says there's no lap traffic we can use as a pick here. It is mano a mano for the race lead. That time, Kvapil was able to prevail off 4. Looney's going to fall back in line and try to regroup with Cade Brown trying to close from third. Another good drive off 2 from Mike Looney.
As you mentioned, no lap traffic up the road. The last couple of laps, though, Cade Brown and Peyton Sellers starting to reel back in your top 2 as they duke it out on the front stretch here for the top spot at Martinsville. Lap 58, Mike Looney still looking to try and take away the race lead from Carson Kvapil. One driver looking for his first ValleyStar Credit Union 300. And the other, the 2016 winner of this race, looking to try and get another win in his 5th try.
And so far, Carson Kvapil has been able to make that outside lane roll on corner exit, not allowing Looney to get enough of the drive to be able to maintain position. And the battle continues off of turn number 2 and down the backstretch.
One car was slow, got really high into turn 4. It was Andrew Grady, but he collected it up. Again, the way these cars lay down rubber here, you get a little bit outside of that concrete patch, you are in for a ride. Stuart Cruz found that out as well, but still they go side by side. And Kvapil right now, just so much drive, and we see this pretty much on a weekly basis. Watching this number 8 car in the Touring Series, their drive through the center of the corner and off, it is tough to make passes because, man, they just have such great drive off everywhere they go.
A lot of respect being shown amongst these two right now. We expect it to get a little bit tighter as the laps continue to unwind. 39 laps away from the halfway break. The conclusion of the first stage with Looney continuing to ride the left rear quarter panel of Carson Kvapil for the lead. Now up to the door, now nearly into the door of the 8 car. With Kvapil again getting a great launch off of 4 to protect the top spot.
And again, you've seen these drivers have learned. You think about aero not mattering much, but you can see Looney, even as they go down the straightaway, going to try to get up close to that left rear quarter panel. Kvapil, you can see there's just a little bit, just enough a side draft to try and keep it close. But again, that's why, especially with Martinsville, when you have a great driving car like Kvapil does right now, it can be really tough to pass. But again, that's a little bit of a tool that Mike Looney has to try and pull back Carson Kvapil in this side-by-side battle that has not stopped. And oh, by the way, you saw him just for a moment in the edge of your frame. Cade Brown is catching them.
Give some props to that of Mike Looney for being able to not get frustrated by how long it's taking to possibly make this move on Carson Kvapil and not overdriving it on the end of each side of the racetrack and washing up into the side of the 8 car, sending them both for a spin. Right now, it's been a lot of respect shown between these two, and Kvapil, that may have been the first time he was all the way clear of Looney going into 3. He's going to try it again, but you're right, Blake. Here comes that Matt Piercy Racing 23 of Cade Brown. This may be a 3-car fight for the lead in just a few laps.
Talk about a 3-car fight for the lead, and I know a little ways back, a little bit about probably 10 car lengths or so back from Cade Brown is Peyton Sellers, and I don't know why. Even the fact that he's not running up with these top 3 right now, there's just something about the fact that 26 is there, what we've seen from him tonight. I think it's only a matter of time before he joins this fight as well, as Mike Looney trying desperately to find a way to get around that number 8 car, but just too strong right now to clear him on corner exit. Meanwhile, a couple more car lengths back in the bank for Cade Brown that he's been able to make up.
Right side of your picture, that's former winner Jake Crum trying to work over Brent Cruz with Trevor Ward in tow. Battle for the lead on the left side. Battle for position right side. As now Looney is just about as far forward as he's been all race long in his battle with the 8 car for the lead as the caution is out for a spin in turn number 2.
Kyle Dudley at the top of turn number 4 was just about to mention the fact that Matt Waltz, who I think was behind him, was making up some ground, and you can see some damage just as he passes by our shot there. That 2 car has a little bit of right front fender damage, and can just put 2 and 2 together that I think that's where that contact would have come from, as both Dudley and Waltz were battling just up into 7th. Again, was about to talk about Matt Waltz and the great drive that he had making up a couple of spots. But man, Kyle Dudley, who had kind of settled into the 6th position, goes around. Thankfully, nobody hits him, but the Cinderella night that he has taken a big turn.
And a lot of misfortune for some of the underdog front runners that we had. Buddy Isles Jr. with a suspension problem, Stuart Cruz with a problem on his car under green, and now the pole sitter, quick time setter and qualifying race 1 winner, and Kyle Dudley in the 4 going for a loop out of the top 10, slowing this field for the 2nd time tonight. Report from Jacqueline down trackside. Stuart Cruz said he doesn't know what happened to that car. Car got loose, and that was pretty much it, and he is in fact done for the night. We appreciate the report down trackside, Jacqueline, and just a heartbreaker for another one of the drivers who was definitely turning some heads in his maiden ValleyStar Credit Union 300 appearance.
Got really loose, chased it up the hill. Again, a couple laps after that, we saw Andrew Grady pretty much in the same situation. As soon as you get those right side tires, with all the laps that you have from 40 cars out here and the way this Hoosier F45 tire wears and it lays rubber down outside of the groove, you get in all the marbles, all the dirt, everything that's kind of kicked up to that outside groove. And it's like driving on ice as soon as you get out there. So the fact that those 2 drivers were able to save it, props to them. It's definitely a certain part of the track you do not want to be in.
As we see the number 22 car bypass the pit entry yet again, the report from Jacqueline is that they have decided that car is something they can work with up until the halfway point. They got a spare battery and alternator on standby if needed. Hopefully 5 minutes would be enough to make that change and do the work in which they intended on doing. But Jacqueline touching base with the Nelson Motorsports team, which again is vying for the Virginia Triple Crown honors as the points leader coming into this race. Obviously that car has been laboring a bit, but he's kind of been able to settle in the bottom half of the top 10, and the team collectively decided we could ride this to the halfway point. And fortunately for them, with caution laps counting, we're getting there ever closer with each lap that goes by.
I was about to say, every single lap that this caution goes on by kind of cuts into what this run will be. And as you mentioned, I'm sure a lot of teams very eager to take that opportunity, not lose any laps, be able to work on their race cars, as we see many of the same takers under that initial caution that we had, taking the opportunity to do the same and come down for adjustments as they are already 1 lap down. Dylan Harville, Dexter Knight Jr., Parker Eatman amongst many of the drivers that are on the pit lane right now. And you can see the damage there for Matt Waltz. We talked about the fact that there was contact, and that's some significant damage for Matt Waltz.
Yeah, that might be all the evidence there to put Matt Waltz guilty as charged as one of the reasons why the 4 car went around backwards to put us under this 2nd caution. And we've touched on several stories of drivers who have had long-term sabbaticals out of a race car. Matt Waltz fits that category as well. This is his 9th attempt at this race, but he elected to kind of scale back some of his efforts just a handful of years ago and pretty much commit his time since 2018 for a part-time slate, oftentimes running either the Hampton Heat, the Cars Tour event up at Langley, or maybe some of the other special events, and Martinsville. That's another item that he has circled on his calendar. He proves to have pace. He's always fast every time he shows up. He was 15th in South Boston, top 10 at Langley in the Triple Crown. He was 8th in Triple Crown points coming into this race, but the team has decided to try to fix the nose on the Camaro-bodied race car and send him back out to do battle with the second half of this race still ahead. Jacqueline, got a report trackside.
Down here in the number 2 pit of Matt Wallace, who I spoke to before this race ever started, and he said, we feel really good about that car, but now sustaining a lot of damage. You'll see the team working diligently on the nose, trying to use a roll of duct tape to hold it up off of the ground. Matt taking his fist and slamming them on the steering wheel in frustration and disappointment at how this night has gone for the 2.
Thanks, Jacqueline. The night is still young. We're less than 30 laps now from what's going to be our first scheduled 5-lap stage break, with the Chews coming up this time by. Want to remind our viewers, of course, Clarence's Steakhouse is awarding a $1,000 payout to the leader at the end of Stage 1 and Stage 2. of the 200-lap feature that we have here tonight. So lap 100, lap 175. So some money on the line here as well, along with the lap leader bonus that you alluded to earlier, Blake. So some additional prize money being offered up to the field by several partners who have stepped up in a big way for this event, as Quapple has chosen the bottom, Looney the outside for the ensuing restart.
See the field continue to choose behind them. This is a kind of a flip of the situation, though. How many times have we seen the last number of laps, these two cars side by side? You can see them taking a very slow pace to try and get the rest of the field caught up so they don't have to run another pace lap around under caution, trying to get as many green flag laps in as possible before this stage break. But it's been Looney who's been on the bottom trying to pass Carson Quapple. Now you kind of flip the script here with Quapple kind of in that preferred lane on the bottom, but maybe Mike Looney's car works well up there. Let's see here.
Coming around a complete lap number 73. Carson Quapple to the inside, Mike Looney to the outside as we're back underway. Coming up on the final few laps of this opening segment of the ValleyStar Credit Union 300, Quapple cleared to the lead off 2, but not for long.
Yeah, Looney positioned himself very well. He did give Quapple the position at the line, so I don't think we would see a similar situation with what we had with Trevor Ward earlier, as Connor Hall, a little bit slow in the straightaway, got a little bit of a shove from Lee Pulliam further on back, but off of turn number 2, side by side for the third spot. We mentioned Cade Brown kind of running down your top 2, and now Sellers trying to get there. As you can see, Hall, he gets kicked up out of the groove. Pulliam goes on by, so does Jake Crum, and whatever issue he was having, we didn't really hear the problem continuing to persist, but it's certainly doing that right now as trouble, turn 4.
And that's for the second time. Kyle Dudley, who has gone into the wall this time in turns 3 and 4. And the magical day for the 4-car, Virginia native, out of Roanoke, Virginia, for his family-owned race team. And the Tyler Hash and Farm and Bureau Insurance entry has started to unwind in a big way, and this is going to be the end of the night for car number 4 and Kyle Dudley. He's got the window net down, and his race is over with clear damage to, at the very least, not only the rear deck lid of that car, but the right rear quarter panel as well.
Yeah, golly, he hit hard for that much damage, and a young man who's been all smiles. You could see him soaking in the moment early in driver introductions, was so happy with the speed that they had, led the opening portion of this race. But racing can be a cruel thing sometimes, and you can see he gets out and immediately looks at the damage that he has right here, talking to some of the safety workers, but wants to get a good vantage point of all that he may have to assess with he and this number 4 team.
This is a family-owned entity in operation. Quite the story for Kyle to come on out, win the $5,000 Quick Time Award courtesy of the Speedway, go out and lead every lap in his qualifying race, lead this field to green, lead the opening few laps of the event. He picked up his first career late model stock car win at South Boston earlier this year, ended the season 6th in points there, but he does have 5 prior starts at the ValleyStar Credit Union 300, and this was his 11th attempt, but his first dating back to 2011. Touched on the unique style of the driver's suit and some of the other characteristics that make this driver so enjoyable to so many fans. He's got a long-standing merchandise line for his supporters. And tonight, despite the result, is certainly going to be a career night for the Roanoke, Virginia native. But his night will end prematurely with just 77 laps in the books. Still more than half of the race left to go. And Dudley is done.
What a go he gave it in 2 of these Triple Crown races this season. Started on pole for 2 of them. Ran very well at South Boston, ended up bringing that number 4 car home in 7th. And then a magical afternoon comes to a premature end for that number 4 car, and heart breaks for him, man. He was having an amazing, amazing night. You can see Matt Waltz kind of taking advantage of this caution flag to continue work on improving, or at least trying to remedy the situation for the number 2 car.
That looks like a situation that got much worse, so
yeah,
not trying to piece 2 things together here, but let's not forget those were the 2 cars that were involved in the last caution on lap 68. I don't know if they were in and around each other here for this crash this time around, but there's definitely a lot more damage to that 2 car this time through, whether it happened on the racetrack, but I think they're signaling that they're pretty much done here for the night for that of Matt Waltz, and I guess the story will come out in due time, if you will, as to whether or not that was the second coming together of those 2 cars. Chief starter Brandon Willard, one of the busiest flaggers that you will find in all of motorsports. Young man never, ever has a weekend or sometimes even a night off. Him and his father Danny work the short track scene all throughout the southeastern region of the United States, seemingly never turning down an opportunity to either work together, maybe work in an official capacity. But Brandon does a tremendous job and is the one holding the silks for tonight's ValleyStar Credit Union 300. Right now, it continues to be led by that of Carson Quapple.
Continuing to wind the laps down. I'm sure there's a number of teams that are kind of up here to the front of the field that really don't mind this. They're in a good position right now, and they feel as though, maybe give me a little more feel for what we need to do heading into the break. Gives them some downtime, right? You know, when you're behind the wheel, you have a little bit longer straightaways than what you're used to at many of the short tracks we go around here, but plenty of time for team communication to go on here so that they have a great game plan going into that lap 100 break. Just saw scrolling across your screen the cars that were going on by, and I know we've said it a couple of times, but how about the drive for Trevor Ward, who said after his interview that we still have every intention of going and winning this thing, and right now is up into 11th. Hard to believe with where he was slotted in the starting part of this field that he's already made it up that far.
And I look back to when Jacqueline caught up with Trevor after his qualifying race where he had to go through quite the roller coaster of emotions. And I think it was a telltale sign for Trevor to pretty much say, you know what, I may have been a little bit anxious. Right call, wrong call, doesn't really matter. We're in the show. He was so quick to be able to compose himself and kind of shrug off the misfortune that almost kicked him out of this race for the first time. For a defending champion, it would have been huge for him. And he was able to kind of put it in the back of his mind already and surge and focus forward. And he's been proving that on the racetrack. And just shy of halfway, he's not done. He's going to continue that march up through the field and try to be the first repeat winner in this race's history.
Trevor Ward is a racer's racer, and what is that mentality that great race car drivers and race car mechanics like him have is what's next. And I think as soon as something is over and done with, you're not looking back at what was, only on what can be. And Trevor Ward, man, he's done a fantastic job trying to get up towards the top 10. Has a real opportunity to do it here before we get to this lap 200 break with some of the cleanup coming up here. This might be the lap that we get to choose. But again, a short run for these drivers to kind of have a final gauge of what direction they would like to go when we do take that break.
So Carson Quapple continues to lead over that of Mike Looney, and Cade Brown out of Full Shear, Texas, running in third spot. And although Cade's rookie foray into the ZMAX Cars Tour has not gone according to plan, he's racked up several DNFs, pretty much just due to bad luck. Sometimes some mechanical gremlins, wrong place, wrong time. But he certainly knows how to win the big races. He's defending track champion at Hickory, defending state champion for the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series. He won the South Carolina 400 last season. He won the Fall Brawl. He's won just about every marquee late model stock event that you could find within a stone's throw distance of the Martinsville Speedway, with this only being his second try at the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. As we hit the choose that time through, Brown will elect the bottom of row number 2. It'll be Quapple, Looney, then Cade Brown and Sellers, with Daniel Silvestri and Trayton Lapsevich making up row number 3. You got a quick glimpse at Trevor Ward, who picked the outside of row number 5. Trevor Ward enters the top 10 for the first time tonight.
I also think worth mentioning some of those cars that have gotten back on the lead lap that were lapped under the course of that first run. Dexter Knight Jr., Doug Barnes Jr., Ryan Matthews. It looks like Andrew Grady may also, well, he would actually be the first car one lap down. So with these couple of cautions, a couple of opportunities for these drivers to get back on the lead lap, it'll be Grady, Clay Jones, and Dylan Harville fighting for the lucky dog.
Going to be a short sprint to the lap 100 stage break. Here comes Carson Kvapil and Mike Looney bringing us down with a restart. 18 to go before halfway, and Looney's got a tremendous edge. By tremendous, we mean by a nose to turn 1 to try to maintain pace in this race if he can get around Kvapil as they nearly bounce off one another off 2.
It's a little bit of a run down the back straightaway again. He's been having to fend off Kvapil, or at least try to make the move by on the bottom. But right now, Mike Looney too strong for Kvapil to hold back for the moment. Mike Looney, another new race leader here at the front of the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. That middle and top lane working well for both of your top 2 contenders. Peyton Sellers moving up there as well without a little bit of a challenge from Cade Brown, as you see Connor Hall, who again, kind of like what we saw earlier, fading and falling on the straightaway. You can see the amount of speed that he's down. Tristan McKee, Ryan Millington, and Connor Jones all kind of anticipating that, trying to get off the bottom to get around the 22 car.
And these repeated restarts have put Hall in a position where he is just about getting run over off the restarts, and he is out of the top 10 now as the battle continues.
Oh, and he gets spun on the front straightaway. Contact with Tristan McKee.
Oh, a couple of cars launching their way in. Big crash for Hefner, who climbed over the top of another car.
Carter Langley involved, Parker Eatman as well, Timothy Peters, Kelly is in the 16, Stacy Puryear, who was so strong this afternoon, involved in it as well. Blake Stallings got spun around, and as you mentioned, kind of all in reaction to the contact that started between Connor Hall and Tristan McKee.
Boy, Jacob Hefner went for a wild ride up over the top of at least one car. He is out of the car and okay as Langley drives away. And we were just talking about the struggles of the current Virginia Triple Crown points leader in Connor Hall. Got turned off the corner, and carnage and chaos ensued.
One incident that led to more. But just look at the amount of damage for Carter Langley. The right side door completely caved in. The fenders completely ripped off. The bodywork.
This may have been the car that launched the AK Performance number 95 of Jacob Hefner on the front stretch, and that is the best news that we see, is that Jacob is out of the car and okay after a wild ride. When a car just outside the top 10 in a 30-plus car field spins off turn 4 at Martinsville, there is not often any escape room. Hefner ended up going skyward, and he is the last car to remain on the scene in what was a multi-car crash on the front stretch, but he is walking to the safety officials, and again, fortunately, under his own power.
And again, a tough hit he took at North Wilkesboro Speedway. That was kind of the catalyst for this team somewhat moving to a more part-time basis to end the 2024 season. And just not been the second half of this late model stock season that I'm sure he would have wanted. And again, so much happening in such a quick amount of time. Again, it was Connor Hall and Tristan McKee that made the initial contact. And honestly, Hall did a tremendous job getting that car, doing a full 360 as soon as he realized that he was going to spin around. He got it rolling, and then just about the time that he was pointed in the right direction, everything that transpired happened behind him. You could see some of the damage that he had after the contact with McKee.
After he spun, McKee kind of stayed in that driver's door for a good while Hall tried to spin what he hoped to be out of harm's way, and he essentially did that as he didn't sustain major damage with the field barreling down on him. As we'll take a look at what happened. This is off turn 4. Here's the contact off the corner, and now Hall broadside to traffic. And look at him light up the back tires for a moment there to slide down low. Great job by Millington and Connor Jones to split him. And the rest of the field is going to come in with some pretty significant contact across the board, while Hall just does a 360 and gets out of Dodge.
Yeah, you can see the stack up, and oh my goodness. I mean, Jacob Hefner completely jumped up over Carter Langley entirely. Some great reactions by some of those that you mentioned. Connor Jones, Ryan Millington, a few that were able to go on by. But my goodness. Let's take a look at it once again. Connor Hall had gotten shoved up out of the groove. Tristan McKee comes up into him, makes contact. Millington and Jones go on by. Connor Hall gets rolling relatively quickly. But yeah, with Hefner and Carter Langley, that's where all of that starts. Nowhere for Parker Eatman to go in that 4-car either.
You see the 51 center of your picture, 2005, 2017 winner of this race, has made every ValleyStar Credit Union 300 that he has attempted in his career. 20 for 20 is that of Timothy Peters in his BH Motorsports number 51. Started up in the front half of the field. Unfortunately found himself towards the tail end of the field when that wreck happened. It is our 4th caution of the night and our first, and we hope only, red flag. This accident comes 15 laps shy of the scheduled 5-minute stage break. With $1,000 on the line by virtue of Clarence's Steakhouse for the driver who could lead at lap 100 and at lap 175, $1,000 each. And that seems to be enough incentive for Mike Looney and Carson Kvapil to battle for this lead. A couple of donuts on the driver's door, that 87 car.
I think what Mike Looney proved, though, and even in the battle that Kvapil had while he was able to hang on to it, is how that middle and upper lane is starting to work a little bit versus going on the bottom. Car just gets really loose trying to get by, and I think you even saw it a little bit there with Connor Hall, Tristan McKee. McKee gets a little bit tight off the corner, comes up into Connor Hall where they make that initial contact. But I think the one thing that these drivers have learned, and we even saw it when they weren't side by side, Peyton Sellers was moving a little bit up the racetrack. How about Trayton Lapsevich? I believe he's parked in the 5th position right now. He took advantage of that restart to get a couple of spots better as well. So kind of the shift, and once this track had a couple of laps, these guys laying rubber down, and they've done a good job trying to adjust to that. But also wondering, too, with this red flag, I believe, again, if there's a caution within a couple of laps of that halfway break, they would just go ahead and take it. But I think at this point, with the red flag being displayed, they have intentions of getting this race restarted before we would approach that lap 100 break.
And contrary to what you may see in some Cars Tour sanction events, being that this is a NASCAR Weekly product, it is not a red-yellow condition. So you're seeing officials diligently monitoring the cars that are located in their respective pit boxes, as the teams are not allowed to work on their cars under the red flag. As a matter of fact, Connor Hall had to stop on the pit lane before he can get to the attention of his crew with the red flag being displayed. Once the red flag is lifted, then they'll be able to pull off the stops to allow the teams to go to work. Right now, many surveying the damage if and where possible, with Hall on the pit lane as well, and the rest of the field waiting patiently on the backstretch. And you see Hall here talking over with one of the officials, perhaps looking for a chance to at least get to his pit stall, so that way his team could survey the damage before they start to go to work on that car.
And again, with what we were talking about with those drivers battling to get back on the lead lap, I think it was Clay Jones will get official word from race control as soon as they kind of fire these cars back up in terms of where they're parked. But out of that battle to get back on the lead lap between Clay Jones, Andrew Grady, and Dylan Harville, I believe it was Jones who would be the recipient of the lucky dog, this caution flag by. And of course, you know you have one more in the bank too if you're one of those two. Man, a tough situation here. And again, the Martinsville Speedway track crew been very quick. The AMR safety team was immediately out there with ambulance in tow as soon as Jacob Hefner climbed out of his car to take a ride to the infield care center to make sure that everybody's okay.
We mentioned all the competitors and everyone who has come from distances near and far to compete in this event. The same could be said for that of the safety officials, the track officials, NASCAR officials, pulling a lot of resources from neighboring venues and facilities. All equipment was on hand. I know that Mother Nature was not a factor here tonight, but in the event it was. We had air tundras on site if and when needed. Fortunately, we didn't need them here today. But hats off to everybody for making sure that the crew here is top-notch as always when you come to Martinsville. And with that, we don't expect the cleanup to take all that much longer on the front stretch, but as you can see, they're doing it just right with all that is on the line. $32,000 to the winner and the title of a ValleyStar Credit Union 300 winner in this historic event in its 39th year running. Well, Connor Hall remains stationary on the pit lane. Let's get an update on the 22 from Jacqueline.
checked in with that Nelson Motorsports team, who said actually the Junior Motorsports team came down to their pits to see if they needed anything. They're no longer thinking that it's a battery issue. They're now looking at plug wires, which they have lined up on the pit wall, ready to assess that 22 at the halfway mark. Even given all of these circumstances with the number 22, Connor Hall said this is the best car he's ever had, and they are ready to get it underneath him, get these repairs underway, and be able to lead this race the right way.
Thanks, Jacqueline. And Blake, we've seen pace out of that 22 car, with the exception being off the restart. That appears to be where Connor is most vulnerable. But if they can get this figured out, and if the damage on the side of that car is not all that detrimental, I would throw the number 22 right back up there as a potential contender for this race win.
Wouldn't put it out of the question for them to do it. The question is, how soon can they get working on that car? How bad is it with the contact that he had? And not only do you think about the ValleyStar Credit Union 300 and perhaps the opportunity to slip away, but how about the Virginia Late Model Stock Triple Crown that right now, Peyton Sellers, that car that's parked in the 4th position, and the number 26 looks prime and poised to take control of what may be another Triple Crown championship for Peyton Sellers.
See the field continuing to be stopped over towards the entrance to turn number 3 with Mike Looney, the pace setter. Again, this red flag comes about 14 laps shy of what would have been the first opportunity at the $1,000 for the stage break, with Looney wrestling the lead away from Carson Quapple about a lap before the wreck took place. Cade Brown running in the 3rd spot. Number 26 of Peyton Sellers 4th, and Trayton Lapsevich, a very impressive effort, his first ever ValleyStar Credit Union 300, rounding out the top 5. Cleanup continues. Exciting second half plus of the 39th running of this late model stock car tradition at this incredible speedway. Red flag is out for what was initially the 4th caution of the race after a multi-car crash off turn number 4 after the Virginia Triple Crown points leader and Connor Hall got turned around while running in 13th, with the field barreling down on him, collecting several drivers, including that of Carter Langley, Timothy Peters, Casey Kelly, and a wild ride for Jacob Hefner in the number 95, who climbed up over the top of Langley. The good news we can report, and we saw it trackside earlier, all drivers are okay. Let's go to Jacqueline for an update.
We're down here in the pit area with the 03 Lee Pulliam, his crew chief today, as he likes to call himself, Brennan Butterbean Queen. How are you? How's it feel being a crew chief tonight and not being in the driver's seat?
It's odd, especially when you see your own car out there in your own scheme, but I can't crew chief it without these guys, Teddy and Ben and Chad and Butch. We're just all working together, and I'm just joking as being his crew chief, but, you know, we're just trading roles for tonight since he is piloting the 03 tonight.
I like it. And you were talking a little bit about the radio chatter going back and forth. What's he saying on there, and how's he feeling about this?
You know, we're always positive, and we're gonna make some good adjustments here at the break and find a way to win this clock, win him a 3rd clock, but we just got to be a little bit better, get some track position, been a little bit tight rolling through the center, free off. And when you're free off, you just can't really go anywhere here. It's so hard to pass. So if we get him tuned up there, I think he'll put on a show coming to the front.
Brennan Butterbean Queen in the crew chief seat tonight. He also told me that him and Lee were joking a little bit on the radio, and Lee said, you finished 10th last year, I'm going to finish at least 9th this year.
Thanks, Jacqueline. He's got his target set and locked, does that of Lee Pulliam. And we've been airing it several times all throughout the night as we see with the caution being back out, the Nelson Motorsports team could finally attack what needs to be done on that 22 car. It maybe resolve whatever mechanical gremlin has been plaguing that machine seemingly in this first half of the race. But Blake, it's been an emotional story for that of Lee Pulliam, who decided about 4 years ago that he was going to step out of the cockpit of the race car and centralize on what was his race team, focus on the family in which he started and began to grow, and also tried to do what he can to help the future stars of the sport, like that of Brendan Queen. But a promise that he made to his father when he was in dire straits health-wise, he said, "Dad, if you get better, we're going to go try to get us another clock." And a promise fulfilled for that of Lee Pulliam in that 03 car, being on the racetrack and showing significant pace in what is his first on-track contest in 4 years' time. If you haven't had a chance to see the piece that Rob Blount put together, it's a pretty long and lengthy effort, but it's worth every moment of it, where you get to see a very candid Pulliam who has been doing a great job working with all of his partners to groom some of the next wave of talent that will be coming up through the pipeline. But Blake, I think no matter the result from here on out, Lee has proven he can still get the job done.
And I don't think there was much doubt in the pit area that he was still going to be performing at this type of level. Again, the great ones, it's like riding a bike. You never really forget. But the one thing that I really got out of that piece, which Rob Blount did a tremendous job of when visiting their shop and getting to chat with Lee, was the fact that, you know, he still wants to drive. As much as he enjoys helping the next drivers up and coming, as much as he enjoys finding speed in these race cars and performing and having the great relationship with Toyota that he does, he still wants to drive. There is a passion in him that he wants to continue to prove himself as a driver, because he knows he's all capable behind the wheel of getting the job done.
You see the work continuing here on the Nelson Motorsports number 22 car. See, they have the air intake off the motor on the front of that machine, sitting on the roof number right now.
See, as they're going through everything, they're adding fuel to continue to work on it, but he's continuing to go laps down. Again, we've been under yellow flag for a little bit. Right now, 1 lap down, and looking like he may go a second lap down at this point, which again, can probably overcome a 1 lap deficit, but the fact that he's now 2 laps behind the race leader, that is tough, because there's going to be a couple of cars in front of him that are stuck 1 lap down. It's going to be a long time before he could potentially get back to the lead lap. But it looks like they're going to roll him out.
And this is going to be a short sprint to what will be the scheduled halfway break to conclude segment number 1 of the 2024 ValleyStar Credit Union 300, with Mike Looney the leader. He's elected the inside, even though he took the lead on the outside to get the top spot away from Carson Kvapil. It'll be Kvapil, his pursuer, to driver's right. Back underway with the break coming at halfway. It is Looney and Kvapil bringing us back to green.
This time it's the low side that Looney's going to be able to clear Carson Kvapil off of turn number 2 and into turn number 3. However, look at the sin from Peyton Sellers around the outside. He nearly was up and had a nose on the outside of Carson Kvapil, but for now Sellers will have to settle for third. In fact, he's being challenged for that spot with Cade Brown, who looks to take it off of turn number 2, and he does.
Clarence's Steakhouse, longtime supporter for that of Peyton Sellers. They're offering up to $1,000 these drivers are vying for 10 laps from now if they could lead at the end of this stage. Sellers to 4th. Lapsevich just behind in the 77. Here's Lee Pulliam in the 03 alongside 3-time Car Store champion Bobby McCarty, who said candidly he doesn't know what he would do if he was able to win this race. And oh, by the way, Trevor Ward in the 77 just behind McCarty.
Mason Diaz got shoved out of the group but keeps it going straight, but he'll lose about a dozen spots in collecting back his Hitchcock Racing Enterprises machine. But Pulliam trying to roll around the outside, bringing along Ronnie Bassett Jr., Brent Cruz, a couple of Cars Tour regulars that are looking to follow a longtime veteran here at Martinsville. He jumps up on the outside of Bobby McCarty and looks to try and pull alongside or behind Jake Crum if he can clear off the corner. Trevor Ward looking for just a moment to try to make it 3 wide.
Trevor Ward's charge at the front is not done. He was trying to get himself a 2-for-1 on some of the most illustrious resumes you may find in the field, with the 2 cars ahead of him, with McCarty and Pulliam, 6 and 03 respectively, still running side by side for 8th.
And only a couple of laps until this break. Everybody jockeying for position. It's starting to funnel to the bottom. That kind of allows the opportunity for some drivers to jump to the outside. Millington did just that. Kind of getting stacked up just behind where these two are battling right now. As McCarty, Pulliam, you can see they can lean on each other mere inches apart from one another. how difficult it can be to challenge as Ward just giving a little bit of a fake there to McCarty a couple times, make him think that he's going down low into turn number 1.
Further up the road, here's Silvestri in the 17A trying to fend off former winner Jake Crum in the 12, with McCarty and Pulliam still seemingly sewn together at the hip as they continue their side-by-side battle for a position inside the top 10, with now Ward and Brent Cruz looking, and Crum to the inside of Silvestri, and he just about ships the 17 off in the corner.
A little bit of contact made to try and make the move by, but Jake Crum driving away from this battle just behind him for the 8th spot, up to the inside of Daniel Silvestri. But right now, Jake Crum's car perhaps turning better on the bottom than any of these other cars around him. He makes that move look easy. Silvestri will say, all right, well, I think he got it now. They don't have time to go up and try to catch Trayton Lapsevich, who may have a thought about trying to get around Peyton Sellers before this break comes at the halfway point of the race. And now Pulliam trying to hold off Trevor Ward just before that were to happen.
Just about a couple laps away from what would be the end of this first segment, with Trevor Ward to the inside of Lee Pulliam, 77.03. Brent Cruz having a great run so far tonight, his first ValleyStar Credit Union 300 attempt. Cruz in the Mobile 1, number 29 for Kevin Harvick Incorporated, trying to get up to the top 10 before this race hits halfway. While the race continues on, Buddy Iles Jr. has brought his car to the pit area and slow. It appears as though maybe his night will be ending prematurely. Lapsevich wants one more spot as he's trying to work over Sellers for 4th, with Mike Looney coming to the cross flags to lead at halfway. You can expect to see the caution at the conclusion of this lap, but Mike Looney is going to grab himself $1,000 as the stage winner by virtue of Clarence's Steakhouse, and Looney, looking for his second Martinsville Speedway win, is going to come off of turn number 4 into the line, and the yellow is out for the stage break. The yellow may have been the most timely for that of Lee Pulliam, as he fell outside of the top 10 at the time of the caution. So we heard Brendan Queen talk about wanting to do some work on that 03 car. This is going to be the best chance for all teams to take 5 minutes to swing away at whatever adjustments they deem necessary, as we are halfway through the ValleyStar Credit Union 300.
And I think the best thing about getting to this break is you look at a lot of these cars at the top 10, not a whole lot of scratches, not a whole lot of blemishes, just getting to this point in the race. You've got good track position, as well as some drivers who have really had to earn it. How about Jake Crum coming up into the 6th position, Bobby McCarty finding his way into the top 10. Trevor Ward right now has driven as hard as about anybody out here tonight. It'll be Andrew Grady, who in just a couple of moments, believe it'll be right there, you see him into your frame, and he'll come around and take the free pass in that very close battle for the lucky dog that was going on amongst those competitors.
Report from Jacqueline on Buddy Iles Jr. This is the second time tonight that car driver and team has experienced some form of brake failure. He is out of the race after the stellar qualifying and heat race performance that had him starting 6th. Buddy Iles Jr.'s night will end right at the halfway point of this race. And again, caution laps continuing to count here as they assure, per timing and scoring, that the running order is in fact correct before they turn the cars over to the teams for the opportunity to work on their cars, with only one more segment break to come at lap 175.
See some of the disagreements there. Trevor Ward looks like he goes by Brent Cruz. Lee Pulliam was battling close side-by-side with Tristan McKee. It looks like they're going to give Pulliam that 11th spot. McKee will settle for 12th. Ronnie Bassett Jr. Haven't mentioned his name a whole lot tonight. He's up in the 13th, and Ryan Millington as well. In the 14th spot, Jared Fryer, 15th. Connor Jones, 16th. Casey Kelly, 17th. Aaron Donnelly, 18th. Cam Nagoli, 19th. And Sam Yarborough will round out your top 20. Of which there are now 29 cars, with Andrew Grady receiving the free pass, that are scored on the lead lap route. Now it'll be Dylan Harville, the only car that has scored 1 lap down, and Connor Hall, along with another Lee Pulliam performance car in Landon Pimbleton. That'll be the first 2 cars that are scored 2 laps behind Mike Looney.
So the cars will come down to the attention of their crews. They're going to be given 5 minutes during this break for the chance to work on their cars, but they must be ready to return to competition once that 5 minutes are up, or they will have to start at the rear of the field for the ensuing restart. Mike Looney, Carson Kvapil, Cade Brown, your front three, with Sellers and Lapcevich, your top five. And Blake, this may be the moment in which many teams were looking forward to in order to take some big swings. And the good news is the drivers are going to get a chance that if they go a little bit too far one way this time, they'll get a chance to rectify it 75 laps from now. So you could take a big swing at your race car and maybe not pay a permanent price from now to the checkered flag, because you've got a chance to maybe go back the other way if you need to, with that second break coming before the short dash to the finish.
Well, the last thing I'd want to do is put my car out of the ballpark and then give myself only 25 laps to make it up. Again, a lot of chaos. You lose a lot of valuable track position if that's the case, which no doubt these drivers and teams will do good work to try and make their cars better. But you don't want to get too crazy. Don't put it out of the ballpark, as you can see them finally jumping over, and that clock has started.
Officials waited until the very last car made it to its respective pit area before they gave the thumbs up for crews to come on over and start doing work on their race cars. Our race leader, Mike Looney's been doing a great job at the front. Jacqueline is with him.
Standing here with Mike Looney, who's still in that number 87. And I want you to show the race fans what you just did. You have a bottle of water, but you also have this can of air, this oxygen. What does that help you out, Mike?
I don't know. It can't help. I'm getting pretty old. I probably need oxygen all the time. But they sell them in Lowe's. Seems like it helps.
Okay, well, that 87 sure is treating you well and being able to lead the pack. What are your thoughts on getting adjustments here at the halfway?
Yeah, we're going to have to adjust. You know, Brian Schaefer, he's going to tune on that A car. He's the best at that. And I know they're going to get better. And generally this place will tighten up a little more. So we're going to free up a little bit and hope we gamble right. I've lost this thing quite a bit of different ways, so we're going to be aggressive and go for it.
That's the 87 of Mike Looney, the veteran around this paperclip.
Mike, stick around later. I'm going to need one of those canisters with the way these late model stock races have been going in 2024. I might need one tonight with the way that this race is going to shake out with halfway still to go.
You heard him, man. They sell
halfway through the 2024 ValleyStar Credit Union 300 from Martinsville, here in Martinsville, Virginia, on what has turned into a beautiful Saturday night to close out the month of September with this late model stock car classic being led by Mike Looney over Carson Kvapil and Cade Brown in a race that has already had storylines aplenty, with still half of the distance left to go. Once again, everyone, I'm Eric Brennan alongside of Blake McCandless, Jacqueline Drake joining us trackside. It's been an absolute pleasure to be part of this one-day affair with qualifying being held earlier on today, the 4 qualifying races that set the 40-car starting grid, and now we are halfway through our 200-lap feature event. Let's jump down to Jacqueline, who's got more.
We're down here in Carson Kvapil's pit, who many drivers come in and they get a bottle of water, but Carson Kvapil had a request to have pickle juice and mustard. Apparently, this is his combo of choice. He came out of the car. Macy, his girlfriend, brought the pickle juice down from the trailer. He took a swig with some mustard and then got back in the car. So is that 8 running on this interesting combination? They made a few adjustments, and they're going to send him back out for the second half, running on the pickle juice and a little bit of mustard.
Again, so I have a brother that runs and does ultra marathons and everything, and apparently pickle juice is something that a lot of people will consume, you know, with just to help with salt intake and everything. But I got to tell you, man, like that sounds disgusting to me.
I've heard of pickleback shots before. I've never heard of that, however. So I think we're in 2 different ballparks in terms of how we enjoy our unique beverages. But nevertheless, one of us is standing up here talking about race cars. The other is trying to win a grandfather clock and $32,000. So Kvapil knows what he's doing.
At least mix it with some Sundrop or something.
Mike Looney, the leader. Kvapil second. And Cade Brown doing a great job holding down the third spot for now. A little bit of housekeeping from earlier. Got to catch an interview that Kyle Dudley did with Julian Austin just a short while ago, and he clarified the contact that put him out of the race. Our fast qualifier was actually with that of Doug Barnes Jr. going off into turn number 3. The incident with Matt Waltz that took him out of the race as well just happened to be coincidental that he had the additional parts and pieces falling off his car, and those two hold no ill will towards one another at all. How about this? Instant report from good friend Derek Pernasiglio. Pickle juice and mustard keeps muscles from cramping up. So
yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Good to know. I think I'd rather the Charlie horse, if I'm being honest. So that's just
I think I'm with you there.
I'll stick with Gatorade moving forward. Phil now back behind the pace car with Kvapil in that runner-up position. It's been a wild start. Only one really big incident on the front stretch after Connor Hall got turned out of line after contact with Tristan McGee with several cars barreling in. That put AK Performance's Jacob Hefner out of the race, former South Boston champion in the number 5 of Carter Langley out of the race, and collected a few cars as well that were able to continue on, like that of Timothy Peters and Casey Kelly. Once this race goes back green, it will continue on up until lap 175. Teams will then get an additional 5 minutes. There'll be another $1,000 awarded for the segment winner there by Clarence's Steakhouse. We'll re-rack the field with 25 laps to go.
Really wonder who comes out of this break right with all of the right adjustments, and I think you have all the motivation in the world to make your car better, and I think Mike Looney put it perfectly earlier, the fact that he knows that a Brian Schaefer, he knows that a Matt Piercy is going to make those cars that are just trailing him, they're going to make them a lot better. So all the pressure is on them to go for it, and he said they're going to be aggressive and take a big swing at it, so hopefully they went the right direction. And but man, he seemed thrilled behind the wheel of that number 1 car, and I know certain drivers kind of get in that mindset, and it's not over yet, but Looney seemed to be pretty cool, calm, and collected right there. Looking forward to these next 100 laps.
Now, per Jacqueline, as for the Virginia Triple Crown points leader coming into this race, Connor Hall, it was indeed a plug wire that was off on that Nelson Motorsports number 22. They got it replaced, but as timing and scoring stands right now, he is still 2 laps down because of the time they invested to research the problem on the initial caution laps after the red flag from the big crash on the front stretch. So Hall's got some work to do, needs a little bit of luck on his side as well. It worked out for Trevor Ward in a 25-lap qualifying race. Hall's got about 3 times as much time. He's going to need some rapid pace cautions maybe to get him back on the lead lap to contend for not only the race win but the Virginia Triple Crown.
And that was what was going to hurt him. Is it's one thing to fall 1 lap down with the fact that yes, we may see more yellows and you can get back on the lead lap, but falling 2 laps down, you fall another lap behind everybody that's battling just 1 lap down. I believe after this yellow it will only be what it looks about, I think 1 car currently scored right now, just 1 lap behind the race leader, Dylan Harville. Perhaps Ryan Matthews may be a part of that group as well. And then number 51, no, he's actually scored on lap 103. So just Dylan Harville that with a quick caution would get back on the lead lap, and then Connor Hall would need 2 more. The problem is, look at what we had at the first part of the race. If we have a very long run where there's about 7 or 8 cars that go 1 lap down, that may be an impossible hill to climb, but we'll see.
And also with the caution laps counting at this point, it kind of reduces the amount of green flag racing we could see if we get a rash of yellow fever that eliminates the chance for more yellows to populate enough to get Hall back on the lead lap as they hit the choose this time. I want to take a moment and talk about the car that's going to be restarting in 5th. That's the number 77B, the black and yellow car of Trayton Lapsevich out of Grimsby, Ontario. Trayton is the 2023 NASCAR Canada Series champion, and he's got a win on the Cars Tour season at North Wilkesboro, albeit it came with some conversation. The team was awarded the trophy, however, not the points that go with it because of a modification that they found on the rear end of the race car. It's something that he and the Chad Bryan team have been doing their best to try to work past. He carries a lot of pride in the fact that he got to ride the elevator at that racetrack, but he was a late add to this field. To run this race was that of Lapsevich, and he has been doing a superb job. He decided to take his talents down south of the border here to the States and do something that he really hasn't done all that much before, and that is drive a late model stock car. Lapsevich has been so impressive in just about every start that he has made to mostly racetracks he had never seen in his life. Now here he is up against some of the best to ever do it, and Schraten has gotten himself up into a top 5 and contending spot again at another venue where he doesn't know all that much about. We joked during the week, he's got Everum Bare Knuckle Fighting as the presenting sponsor on that car. How fitting is it that we have a bare knuckle brawl up ahead of us to see who goes home with a grandfather clock?
And I was about to say, as we work towards the second half of this race, we've seen a lot of hard racing at the front of the field, but I think we're going to see more of a bare knuckle fight. Those kind of give and take moments that you have at the beginning of the race, those are going to start to run few and far between. At least that's what we expect, Eric. And this is a night where sometimes the unexpected just sneaks up on you. We just spent an entire caution period talking about cans of air, mustard, and pickle juice. So who the heck knows what is up next here at Martinsville tonight?
Ironic, Lavsovich starting beside a former winner here. A driver's got Orca Menard's experience, trucks experience here. A plethora of racing resumes that outline who could win this race. All right, segment number 1 is in the books. Mike Looney in the 87, Carson Kvapil in the 8, Cade Brown the 23, Peyton Sellers the 26, your front 4. Back underway in the ValleyStar Credit Union 300 from Martinsville. Just as we saw in the restart before the break, Looney able to make that bottom side work, but for how long? Look at Carson Kvapil trying to send it in on the outside as they just about come together off 4. Kvapil keeping the fender there as Looney leads to the line. Now Kvapil falls back behind him.
A lot of close racing throughout the field. Daniel Silvestri almost looked to make it 3 wide, looking inside that number 77 of Trayton Lapsovich, but they go single file back there off to the corner. This was a battle that was taking place a number of laps before that stage 1 break between the 23 of Cade Brown. Peyton Sellers, Jake Crum looks to at least be hot off the collar in terms of getting that car some good short run speed almost into the back of Cade Brown. We talked about how well that number 12 car looked on the bottom prior to the break. Looks just as strong, if not stronger, through these opening couple of laps now.
Saw some sparks coming out from underneath Sellers' car as we just kick off for a few laps from the restart. Possibly some low air pressures there on that Sellers Racing number 26 as Crum now gets kicked up towards the top side, trying to protect the spot from Lapsovich, who defends down low to keep Silvestri behind him.
Sorting it out right now towards the front of the field. You can see single file through your top 10 or so. It's some double wide going on further behind them. This is Ryan Millington, the 14 of Jared Fryer that they're alongside. And then you have the 04, the 03, that is Ronnie Bassett Jr. and Lee Pulliam, respectively, taking a big swing at this race car. Brendan Queen said they were going to try to stay positive, but right now, not going in the positive direction after this restart is that in fact, he kind of maintains exactly where he was when they dropped the green flag just a couple of laps ago.
See Tristan McKee now to the inside of Pulliam in the 7 car with Jared Fryer, 2020 Cars Tour champion, behind him in the 14 and one of his select starts in 2024. One of the youngest drivers in the field alongside a 2-time grandfather clock winner here at Martinsville in Lee Pulliam.
Could hardly be more of a contrast in terms of experience in these two drivers. Again, Tristan McKee celebrated his 14th birthday with a Pro Late Model win at North Wilkesboro Speedway earlier this season. And of course, Lee Pulliam, who, he's 36 and has been doing this for longer than Tristan McKee's been alive. So you talk about a contrast in experience there. It doesn't get about any wider than that.
Trevor Ward's charge to the front may have stalled out just a little bit as Brent Cruz gets the nose to the inside. Is the door going to remain open long enough for Bobby McCarty to sneak up there? Ward wants to fight back on the top side. This would be the battle for 8th.
See the drive off there for Trevor Ward as he slides down, able to get down in front of Bobby McCarty, who currently holds solid there in 10th, running a little bit lower right on the curbing, which again, that's a difficult thing to do here at Martinsville with the fact that, talking to some of these drivers, yes, you have a little bit of the red and white kind of painting on that curbing, but it can still be somewhat difficult to see when especially we get into these nighttime hours. You can see a lot of rubber kind of building up on that curbing, so being able to get right alongside it a little bit more difficult than it used to be when it was kind of bright yellow and had a lot of grass down there is a little bit visually easier to try and differentiate.
See Lapsovich in the black and yellow, number 77, being hounded by Daniel Silvestri. Silvestri, a former Cars Tour winner at Dominion Raceway, multi-time winner and champion across legend car ranks, has been quite honest about the fact that some of the support and funding to do more late model stock racing just hasn't quite been there, despite him proving his talent and ability several times over. Silvestri, with the help of Tom Usry Racing and R&S Race Cars, proving yet again he can get the job done. 2 spots out of the top 5 is that of Silvestri, as we flash back up further forward to the battle for the lead.
Yeah, looked at the first few laps after this restart, and Mike Looney had built up what I thought was a comfortable lead, about 6 or 7 car lengths, and very quickly, in just a couple of laps, here comes Carson Kvapil, who has very quickly made up a lot of time in a very short amount of time. You can see the gap that they built over Cade Brown in 3rd. Peyton Sellers coming across the stripe right now in 4th. Brake rotors are glowing brightly for the number 8 of Carson Kvapil, but not slowing down that race car. As you can see already, just about a mere 10 laps into this run or so, the top 3 or 4 cars are just in a zip code of their own right now, as we see Silvestri and Lapcevich side by side for the 6th position.
Silvestri's history at this racetrack is quite detailed in terms of success. Pole winner here in 2021, best finish of 7th in 2022, has never finished worse than 13th, which he did here last year, running in the top 5, trying to get 6th, while Carson Kvapil continues to hound Mike Looney for the top spot.
You can see the difference right now that Kvapil's trying to do, enter just a little bit higher, get that drive off. You'll see it, especially if he kind of runs the same line as he has in here in 3 and 4, just a little bit higher, but trying to kind of cut that car down a little bit earlier, kind of apex the corner just a little bit before Mike Looney gets the drive off. But again, having that clean air, very important there for Mike Looney. We saw how well that 87 car could defend from that middle lane, if it can still do so. Meanwhile, right-hand side of your screen, great battle going on that's been a number of laps. As you can see, just trying to pull him back a little bit with what little side draft that there is that 17 car of Daniel Silvestri, a great-looking number 17 car, I might add. That bull on the side of that car looks mean, it looks fast.
Brent Cruz is a car that's been steadily on the rise in the KHI number 29 after starting back in row number 10. Cruz now up into 8th with a chance to get to 6 as now Kvapil tries to set Looney up high on the left side of your screen.
And again, Brent Cruz, just incredible. We talk about youth and experience and kind of the balance between the two right now. Brent Cruz at just 16 years of age, his ability to hop into so many different types of vehicles, including that of late model stock cars in his first full-time season driving these full-bodied stock cars, and just how impressive he has continued to be. Wrapped up a number of wins in the ZMAX Cars Tour, which is as competitive as ever, and just showing his ability with very fast race cars provided by KHI. He can go out and get the job done, and has done a tremendous job here in his opening season in late model stock cars.
First time we've seen a little bit of paint rubbing there between that of Lapcevich and Silvestri. That was off turn 2. They made a little bit of contact. Both cars no worse for the wear. And hats off to our team for allowing us to watch the battle for the lead and this battle for 6. But now McCarty looking inside of Cruz to try to get that 8th spot and see if he can join the fight out the windshield.
2 boxes earning its money tonight as Carson Kvapil, again, you can see he slipped when you mentioned him going high in 3 and 4, and it takes him 2 or 3 laps to kind of regroup, get the car back underneath him, and make another charge there at Mike Looney. You can see a little bit of better drive off the corner right now that Carson Kvapil has off of turn 2 as he looks low into 3, but not quite there to make the move. Meanwhile, right-hand side of your screen, McCarty tried for a number of laps to get by Brent Cruz, was not able to do it. Silvestri still fighting strong on the inside, not quite enough for Lapcevich to clear him, but he finally does off of 4. Well, maybe no, but battle for the lead for the top spot in the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. Mike Looney, Carson Kvapil side by side into turn number 3.
And we see that left front brake rotor glowing bright red on Carson Kvapil's car, something we've seen many a times before when this driver would go on to win at a track that is similar in terms of driving style. Ace Speedway. He's done so several times in the Cars Tour. Now trying to win at Martinsville, but Looney fights back on the outside.
And did Looney run very high there into 1 and 2. We see so many times this car that's in the middle that is running the top kind of comes down and really forces that car on the bottom to wrap the curving. You'll see it this time. See the amount of room that Mike Looney is giving Carson Kvapil right there. That's a driver that is very confident in his race
turn
car.
4, got a car around. That's Mason Diaz off the 4th corner as the leaders are side by side arriving on the scene. And Diaz got lucky that he did not get tagged by the cars that were closing in on him, as the Hedgecock Racing number 45 spins broadside to traffic and throws what is going to be caution number 6.
And curious to see, I think there's going to be a little bit of going back with race officials here to see exactly who was ahead at the time of caution. Again, they were side by side for a number of laps. I think they're going to give the nod to Mike Looney, which with how these two cars have battled, having lane choice, very important.
See a little bit of a dimple there on the hood of the number 45 of Mason Diaz, who gets that car righted. Was talking to Mason a little bit during the week. He's had a great effort with the Hedgecock Racing team. He's run 2 Cars Tour events with this organization since teaming up with them at North Wilkesboro and Florence, and has had back-to-back top 10 ventures in the process. He's not quite sure what the future holds for him in terms of his opportunities. I threw out there, you're going to run the South Carolina 400. You almost run that race a couple of years back, and he said, truthfully, I just don't know right now. Diaz has proven time and time again that he can get the job done behind the wheel of a race car. I believe he had some help coming off turn 4 for this occasion to go backwards. But the driver who won the throwback event for the Cars Tour last year, kicking it back to Kirk Leone in his former Pro Cup days, shifting his attention towards what is a very busy schedule upcoming at the Southern National Motorsports Park. Diaz, however, no worse for the wear after getting turned around backwards, and he rejoins the tail end of the field for what is yet again caution number 6.
You make a good point there about Southern National Motorsports Park and, a number of the big races and late model stock car racing that are coming up. You mentioned the South Carolina 400. Looking forward to that one as well. But how about the Thanksgiving Classic last year? That's going to be a great ticket to have because, man, that was about some of the best racing, that battle between Brendan Queen, Josh Berry. Some of the best racing that I've ever seen in late model stock car racing was that Thanksgiving Classic last year, and that should be a ticket item for both he and his father, who own and operate that racetrack and put their heart and soul into it, and looking forward to a great event there, along with the South Carolina 400, the Rodney Cook Classic, all of these big late model stock car races that are coming up.
This may be the pinnacle for late model stock car racing, but we are certainly not done. And again, keep your eyes peeled on all the NASCAR regional outlets and Flow Racing as well to see all that's still upcoming in terms of this style of full-bodied stock car action for the remainder of the season and beyond. Got a couple of cars taking advantage of the pit lane being open. Diaz, one of them. Landon Pembleton, the lead podium performance number 5, and Dexter Knipe Jr. coming down to the attention of their crew. And again, with caution laps counting, these teams have to be aware they don't have as much time as they may have in some other events in order to get the repairs and adjustments made on their respective cars and get them back out there. Also got a report from Jacqueline Drake, former winner of this race, Timothy Peters, overheating and done in the 2024 running of the ValleyStar Credit Union 300.
We were talking about a caution and the fact that quick yellows would help Connor Hall. And the good news is that Dylan Harville, who was 1 lap down, was waved around, and he will get the lucky dog. The problem is that Mason Diaz's 45 car, he not only went a lap down, he may go a second down here as they continue to assess the problems with his race car. But tough there for Connor Hall as another one falls a lap down, and you'll see here they release Diaz, and if he gets out in front of the pace car, that's going to be another lapped machine that Connor Hall is going to have to wait to get the free pass before he's eligible to get it once or twice.
I want to extend a big thank you to a good friend of ours, and Justin Mincy, who does a lot of work at Bowman Gray Stadium, collects a lot of stats and information, and he was kind of lending a little bit of help in terms of the calculator. And with the struggles that of Connor Hall, and with Peyton Sellers running up towards the front of this field, unofficially, if things were to finish right now, we believe that Peyton Sellers would be the 2024 Virginia Triple Crown champion. So a lot on the line, more than just the race win, with the Virginia Triple Crown holding serve as one of the main storylines for Sellers. This could be his 5th Virginia Triple Crown title. Did so first in 2013, did it again in 2014 to go back-to-back 2018 and 2022. So this could be his 5th time winning the Virginia Triple Crown for that, of the now 7-time track titleist at South Boston Speedway.
One to go here. Looks like Brandon Willard will give the choose, and Mike Looney very quickly. Looks like there's not a lot of thought put into it. He's going to go right to the bottom with Cade Brown, and also going to bring Jake Crum, those first 3 cars on the inside row. It'll be Quapple, Sellers, and Silvestri, the first few that will elect to jump up to the top lane and try their luck on the outside, of which I don't think it's really trying your luck. We've seen a number of cars, if they can get a good launch and stay side by side into turn number 2, more times than I thought we would see. That outside lane has been very, very strong.
At the time of the yellow, Looney and Quapple were pretty much sewed together, giving Looney control of this race, with Brown and Sellers making up row number 2, and Jake Crum has been racing just about everything, including a Tour Type Modified over the last few months. Now back in something in which he made great success in the late 2000s, along with his win here in 2009. He was a 2008 UARA Stars champion, trying to join the list of drivers who have won this race more than once. The ValleyStar Credit Union 300 here at Martinsville, getting set for the restart. Next race break, lap 175. Looney leads us back down to green.
This time it is that inside lane that gets quite a launch. Looney may look to have Quapple clear off of turn number 2. Cade Brown having to do some defensive work behind them to keep Jake Crum at bay. Meanwhile, here comes Peyton Sellers, who looks like he'll be able to clear Cade Brown off of turn 4. May not have him quite into turn number 1, but he'll have the spot at the stripe.
And on the outside, Carson Quapple has made the pass for the race lead as Sellers and Brown continue their duel for 3rd. Quapple able to use the outside on the restart to be able to pin Looney down to take over the top spot, with Brown now holding 3rd.
A fantastic move there by Carson Quapple, who was definitely aided by that break, and they have done some great work on getting that 8 car to turn to his liking. Mike Looney to 2nd. Cade Brown, meanwhile, saw a little bit earlier that those top 2 were able to pull away, but we'll see if he can maintain the pace that those top 2 cars have. And the battle still continues between Daniel Silvestri and Trayton Lapsevich, who spent a number of laps side by side. Some clean, hard racing between those 2. And Lapsevich finally able to get the best of that up into 6th, but Jake Crum up into the top 5. As one car slow in the back straightaway, it is Ryan Matthews who has gathered it up. We stay green.
As you mentioned several times tonight, Blake, it seems if you get kicked up out of those first 2 grooves and you know there's no saving it, just pull the chutes, fall to the rear, gather it back up, and live to fight another day. And that, I think, is what Matthews just did right there. As we got 777s on the screen. Inside, Tristan McKee. Outside that of Trevor Ward. It's the battle for the 10th position right now. And now looking to the inside, the 16 of Florence Motor Speedway track champion, Casey Kelly.
And what a rebound here for Casey Kelly, involved in an incident very early on, and just of some of the opening laps of this race, was put to the tail end and has had to claw his way back up to his position right now, 12th, now 11th, as the surge forward for Trevor Ward throughout this race seems to have stalled, either just inside or outside of the top 10. As Sellers up the racetrack, here comes Jake Crum, who continues to be so impressive here tonight. Goes to the bottom, will easily have that 26 car clear. Move Jake Crum up into the 4th spot here at Martinsville.
Crum did not attempt this race last year. He has 9 prior attempts in this race. He's made the show 6 times with 3 top 10 finishes, leading laps in each one of those starts, along with the win back in 2009. McCarty starting to work his way further forward. He's around Silvestri, as now we've got Sellers falling back into the clutches of Trayton Lapsevich for 5th.
And again, it's been a quick fall for Peyton Sellers, who just looked to be shot out of a cannon on this latest restart. Very quickly, something going awry on that number 26 car, and Trayton Lapsevich looking to take advantage of that and get his way back up into the top 5. But Sellers right now reeling in that middle to outside lane.
Sellers now up to the top side, as we are now 30 laps away from the end of this respective segment. With 25 laps to go is where we expect the yellow flag to fly to give these teams just one more shot at a 5-minute adjustment to battle it out for the win. Now's McCarty looking low. Left side of your screen, that is McCarty looking to the inside of Peyton Sellers. Right side, you see Connor Hall, who is still trapped a couple of laps down, with Camden Gully and Blake Stallings just in front of him.
was about to say he can battle all he wants, but unfortunately for him, there's not going to be many positions to gain without some more happening. But he's going to send it 3 wide regardless to the inside of turn number 3. That is Camden Goley that he's trying to get by right now, and that number 15 car on the right-hand side of your picture. Meanwhile, Bobby McCarty, and this is kind of the point of the race, Eric, where you want to have a car that is very fast. If you got something, you got to use it now to get that track position before we get to that final 25-lap stint. And Bobby McCarty showcasing that to perfection here, was just around or outside of the top 10 on this restart, is now up into 6th. Talk about experience. There's a lot of experience underneath the hood of that number 6 RNS Race Cars machine. And Bobby McCarty right now, in terms of lap times, looking to start to match what your top 2 are running and gaining the track position necessary to do it as well.
We mentioned earlier, Bobby McCarty said he wouldn't quite know what he would do if he won this race. He did throw one thing in there. He said they would burn down the campgrounds and party it up all night long if he was able to get the one race that has eluded him in his incredible late model stock career. And he is floating to the top of the field at maybe just the right time as Cruz is trying to follow through. He's alongside Sellers.
Well, again, 26 years in racing for Bobby McCarty, 3-time Cars Tour champion, won the Virginia Triple Crown in 2021. I think even he alluded to it. It's kind of the last thing, the last check mark that he has not checked off yet. Last box he hasn't checked has been this ValleyStar Credit Union 300. And again, gaining some track position to try and do that. As you can see, Tristan McKee now trying to take advantage of the veteran and Peyton Sellers. And then here comes Ronnie Bassett Jr. to the inside of Trevor Ward, who continues to fall back. And again, it was after that stage. Before that, was surging forward to the front. But whatever they changed on this 77 car, unfortunately not working to his liking, it would seem, for now.
2 drivers that started well outside the top 15 right now, battling on the right side of your picture as Sellers continues to lose spots. McKee now through. Casey Kelly lining up on the bottom. Daniel Silvestri in the 17. All starting to leapfrog the driver who appeared to be in prime position to take home the Triple Crown with the struggles that Connor Hall has had all night long. May have to do a little bit more math to try to see if Sellers will maintain that spot, depending on how much further down he falls in the running order.
It's a good point to be made. As much as Connor Hall is reeling right now in terms of average finish, again, had a 1st and 2nd and currently runs in the 30th position. Now Peyton Sellers, average finish of 3.5 coming into this race. He had the position of being inside of the top 10, but now may lose that to Daniel Silvestri off of turn number 2, and indeed he does, so he continues to fall. Still in a good spot right now, but you just have to wonder if anything gets worse, what can happen with that Clarence's Steakhouse machine.
They're fired off a warning shot there to Silvestri as now we watch McCarty get up into the top 5 for the first time tonight. Bobby McCarty in the RNS Race Cars number 6 into the top 5 and within striking distance. Again, 20 laps from now will be the end of this segment of this race, and it will be a 25-lap dash to the finish, and McCarty's trying to put himself in prime position.
One of the fastest cars on the racetrack. However, the previous lap, it was Cade Brown in that 3rd position who happened to claim the fastest time of anybody in the field. And as far as Quapple, he was able to get a little bit of a lead, but they are just trading lap times back and forth between Carson Quapple and Mike Looney. So I would not write off that 87 car yet, who is keeping pace right now with Quapple in a big way. And Cade Brown has also kind of managed to run down your top 2.
Perhaps some solace for many of the drivers who were fortunate enough to make this race. When you look at some of the veteran racers in the field, Lee Pulliam, Bobby McCarty, believe it or not, both of those competitors failed to qualify in their first 2 attempts at this race, despite going on to have incredible careers in late model stock cars and being continual contenders every time they strap into their race cars. This is McCarty's 10th attempt at this race. Is tonight the night he nets the big one? He's up into the top 5 and pulling away from Lapsevich.
We saw a couple of names that kind of popped out at the top of your screen. How about Andrew Grady? We talked about him falling back, fell laps down, is now back on the lead lap and finds himself in the top 20. So a great rebound effort for that number 1 Torque Chassis machine. You could say the same for Aaron Donnelly as he's trying to make up some spots here, getting by Trevor Ward. This will be for the 13th spot. Again, coming on strong late in the going. And then a name we haven't talked about a whole lot tonight, Eric. How about Sam Yarborough, that number 95 car? kind of fell back outside of the top 20, now finds himself back inside of the top 15. So a stark contrast here after this break between cars that just went the wrong direction, went a little bit perhaps too far, and those who were really aided and have made their race cars much better with that halfway break.
Yarbrough, the driver who won the last ever late model stock race held, now defunct Myrtle Beach Speedway. We mentioned the South Carolina 400 coming up. That is one that Yarbrough has had circled for several years running. Along with his McCumbee Elliott Racing teammate and multi-time champion there, Matt Cox, who is watching along with all of us as Yarbrough has gotten around Ward. He's up into 14th, Ward 15th, Jared Fryer and Lee Pulliam 16th and 17th respectively.
Longer we continue to go in this run, it doesn't appear that Carson Quapple, well, indeed he will. He'll be catching some of the tail end of lap traffic here. Again, not what Connor Hall wants to see. Sellers continuing to fall back. He's now almost outside of the top 15 at this point as Aaron Donnelly goes by for the 12th spot. Sam Yarbrough looking to pounce as well. As you can see, Quapple starting to get back into lapping some of the same traffic that had initially worked their way back onto the lead lap. He puts Buddy Isles Jr. another lap down, but Landon Pimbleton goes another lap behind the race leader. And that gives Connor Hall the opportunity to try and leapfrog that number 55. But right now, it would be Hall, as they are scored, who would receive the free pass.
There is a lot of math still to be done.
Dexter Knipe.
But as things stand, Cade Brown may end up being the Virginia Triple Crown champion should Sellers remain where he's running, and Brown up in the top 3 as Sellers continues to fall. We'll check the math as we get closer to the finish and at the end of the race, because it may be tight, but Brown is in contention for this Triple Crown victory.
Well, and again, Cade Brown, as far as drivers that were here at the racetrack, you could say came in third. Technically, he was behind Queen and Honeycutt, but they didn't start this race or didn't attempt to start it. So came in third of the drivers who were listed, had an average finish of 8.5 after finishing 5th at South Boston Speedway in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Took home 12th in the Hampton Heat at Langley just a little over about 2 months ago for Cade Brown. So 8.5 is definitely something that he will improve upon here with a third-place run. And you're right, the math is going to be close if Peyton Sellers continues to struggle through these last 33 laps.
How about Connor Hall there trying to make his presence known? He's well aware of the fact that he is most likely out of contention for this one, as we got a car way sideways, and that's your defending winner, Trevor Ward. Off the pace on the backstretch and coming to the pit lane under green after a masterful charge from 34th on the grid up to the front half of the field, and Ward is now rolling to the attention of his crew under green.
Trouble for your defending race leader. You could see the brake rotors continuing to glow as he was on the pit road. We'll try to get confirmation as to exactly what brings the 77 down, but after fighting back just to get into the race after a black flag to start the heat, he gets back into the race, drives up to the top 10, and it looks like the night is done for your defending ValleyStar Credit Union 300 and Virginia Triple Crown winner.
Check that, Ward rolled off in 27th spot, but nevertheless a great drive up through the field. He cracked the top 10 and ran up there for quite some time, and his race is going to come to a close as we are about 5 laps away from what would be the next segment break as things start to tighten up for second spot. Cade Brown all over Mike Looney with Quapple clear of these two.
And again, just a couple of laps before this break, and for Cade Brown, so important here if he can try and get by Mike Looney. Again, it's that opportunity to choose as the second car, so you had the chance to restart on the front row if you wanted, or if he feels as though his car is really good on the bottom of the top side, he can choose behind Carson Quapple if he so desires. So very important that he try to get this spot and pass Mike Looney. And right now, Cade Brown just looking very, very strong, as Looney having a little bit more trouble trying to lap some of these cars in the back of the field.
Car right out the window of that of Looney is that of Camden Gully, and Logan Clark Racing, number 15. Brown trying to work his way all over, in, and around. And as you mentioned, Blake, control of where you would want to line up on the choose is what's at stake. Should Quapple maintain the lead for the next 2 laps, with Brown now getting pinned behind Gully, falling about a car length off the back bumper of Looney.
Hearing word down track side, the problem for the Trevor Ward machine, courtesy of James Pike, an electrical issue for that number 77 car that has put him down in his pit stall and likely out of the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. As they come around this time, he's got about one more corner to make up a spot to get up into second. Is that a Cade Brown? But it looks like he may not be able to do it with Quapple coming off of into turn number 3 rather. They're going to throw the caution flag regardless. So Mike Looney holds on to the second spot.
It's going to be $1,000 in the bank for that of Carson Quapple. He leads at the end of segment 2 ahead of Mike Looney, Cade Brown, who may very well be in Virginia Triple Crown championship winning position, Jake Crum and Bobby McCarty with one last 5-minute effort for the race teams before they chase the checkers and the Ridgeway grandfather clock to go along with late model stock car racing supremacy in a win in this historic event.
And I think a couple of drivers that feel as though they have a real shot at this thing behind Carson Quapple. Of course, Mike Looney been strong all night. Cade Brown, we documented then, but I got to say, Jake Crum, he makes the right tweak on that car. He's right in the mix of things. And Bobby McCarty, one of the fastest cars over the last couple of laps of that run, he's going to restart choose in the 5th position. He is definitely not out of it either.
There may not be anyone who's had a more topsy-turvy day than our defending winner of this race and defending Virginia Triple Crown champion. Trevor Ward is with Jacqueline.
Disappointing day for Trevor Ward. You'll see him out of the car here. Trevor, I know the team's talking about electrical issues, but what was that 77 doing for you?
Man, the first half of that race, that thing was flawless. I just wish I could have took it out of the pack and put it up front, but motor started getting hot real early in the first segment of that race, and Martinsville really made me work for it this year, and unfortunately come out for the bad side of us. We had a really fast car and, had an electrical issue. It seems like couldn't keep my stuff cool down. It would bust out without keeping it charged or whatever. It's keeping it not charged. But like I said, I got to thank KevinSaysYes.com, Sterling Builders Group, AAR Roofing, Coomer's Well and Dig and Pump, and Scott's Cabinets. Everybody's been a part. Mike Blesson Mechanical. Thank you, man. Sorry we let you down.
And you have a family team, all hands on deck. What's next for you?
We're probably going to go to Wilkesboro.
Trevor Ward 77, end of the night for him.
Looking forward to seeing Trevor on the October 19th finale for the Cars Tour at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Said that's probably one of the remaining items he wants to check off his bucket list. Would be a Cars Tour sanctioned victory. But an unfortunate night. And I have to say, Trevor handled that very well, despite everything that he has gone through and that team has gone through. Remember, brother Dylan missed the show just by one spot. And Trevor's night is going to end a little more than 30 laps shy of the finish here, as we have not quite yet opened the floodgates for teams to come down the pit lane if at all necessary. The pit lane does appear to be open. There are a couple of cars coming down to the attention of their crews for additional repairs, one of them being that of Landon Pembleton.
And again, I know a driver who was really looking forward to making a debut here with Lee Pulliam Performance in the number 55, and right now just has not been the night that the former ValleyStar Credit Union 300 winner would have liked to have seen, as they have just really struggled to get the handling of this 55 car right. And could almost say the same for Lee Pulliam, who kind of in that last run, we talked about some cars who were falling back through the field. Unfortunately, Pulliam was kind of grouped in that. And how about that, Eric, that we see so many cars that were so strong at the beginning of the night starting to have issues or fall back. Connor Hall, obviously the electrical issue not helping with that, but Lee Pulliam, Peyton Sellers, so many top contenders experiencing issues, and that is why this race is so difficult to win. It's one thing to bring a fast car in the heats. It's another thing to run up front in the first half of this race, but 200 laps with late model stock cars, with the brakes that these cars have, it is a test of man against machine as well to get to the end of this race.
You see the cars rolling their way on the back straightaway. They will stop them before they offer up the opportunity for teams that have elected to stop on this last break before we come up to 25 to go to do work on their cars as desired, with Carson Quapple, the race leader, over Mike Looney, what was a hard-charging Cade Brown, a very impressive Jake Crum in fourth, And Bobby McCarty has worked his way up into the top 5 at this break that comes with less than 25 to go, with the only thing left on the agenda for all drivers and teams is the checkered flag of the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. You see Quapple in prime position and will be in control for the upcoming restart once we get this race back underway. We mentioned all the work that has gone on by everyone at NASCAR, the Martinsville Speedway, many other track representatives. How about our buddy Brandon Brown during opening ceremonies? We were just with him with the Cars Tour a couple weeks ago at South Boston Speedway, newly named general manager for that facility. And that's just an example of all of the entities that it takes to put on this race. And we see it visibly out of the windows and on our cameras for the track crew that's been hard at work all night long. They brought the sweepers. They brought every bit of equipment, top-notch personnel, whether it be local track officials, NASCAR regional officials, you name it. This is a state-of-the-art program and a state-of-the-art facility, and it has been proven time and time again all throughout the afternoon and night, especially with everyone having to work a little bit extra today than originally intended with the condensed schedule. And it has been a remarkable event, and we're getting closer to the finish. This is the end of stage number 2. We'll be back for the finish of the ValleyStar Credit Union 300 right after this. Welcome back to the 2024 edition of the ValleyStar Credit Union 300 here at Martinsville. Less than 25 laps to go to see who goes home with their Ridgeway grandfather clock in the biggest late model stock car race of the season. The NASCAR Cup Series is in action tomorrow from Kansas Speedway. Make sure you catch the results from that race and see where Ryan Blaney finishes. If he finishes up in the top 12, it will unlock 25% off of online shopping at shop.advanceautoparts.com on Tuesday from 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you use the promo code Blaney12 at shop.advanceautoparts.com should the 12 car finish in the top 12 at Kansas.
Hope he's able to do it. Man, Kansas and the Xfinity Series put on a great show today. I'm sure tomorrow will be the same.
And that is what these drivers are vying for. We made the analogy earlier, if you want to win a Harley Gerald trophy, you have to go out and win the Daytona 500. If you want to win a Ridgeway grandfather clock, albeit with the specific race logo, date, and design on it, you got a chance to do it here if you're a grassroots short track racer like this entire field that has assembled and converged onto this racetrack to do so, and one driver is going to be lucky enough to do just that.
Well, again, I had the privilege of walking around the airspeed a couple of weeks ago, and probably one of the things that sticks out to you more than anything, of course, what a wonderful and just very modern facility that it is. It's a very nice place, but the one thing that caught my eye more than anything else in that race shop was walking by one office and seeing that somebody had a grandfather clock and knowing exactly, perhaps maybe not the year, the circumstances, but exactly where that clock would have come from. It would have been right here at Martinsville. And again, such a coveted trophy for all of these drivers that they'll be able to keep for the rest of their lives. And some of them keep it, some of them pass it to some family and some friends that have played an important part in their racing career. But you think of all of these late model drivers so young, they get to look at this for the rest of their life if they have the opportunity to win this race.
Just an absolute beautiful piece that ties back to the long-standing history of this racetrack and facility that opened in 1947 prior to the official formation of NASCAR. The history of this event dates back to 1985, but the iteration that we know of it today takes us back to 1995. So a lot of history behind not only the Speedway, this race, but a lot on the line as it appears as though it's going to be a little bit of assistance to get Mike Looney back rolling. The push truck was there to give him a hand, and Looney will reassume his spot up in second position as we inch closer to what's going to be the most frantic point of this race by far.
And you get 24 reminders every day. Every day, if you're able to collect one of them.
Then you may want to record it and send it to your friends. One car that also hasn't fired off on the back straightaway, Peyton Sellers, who again kind of falling away from what could be a fifth Virginia Triple Crown title should things hold as they are. But that may be a lot to ask with less than 25 to go in the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. A lot still could and most likely will change. The question is in how much of a dramatic of fashion Will it happen up towards the front of the field as well?
Update from Jacqueline Drake, down track sign, brake issues for that of Stacy Puryear. They pitted to add more brake fluid to that race car, get him back and try to get to the end of this race. And again, this is when these cars, as far as braking is concerned, you're hoping that you saved enough, you're hoping that you have enough left in the tank. It's the hardest that you want to drive all night, but yet you have to go into those corners and know that you have a little bit with the tires that have worn a little bit. And again, not significant wear here at this racetrack. There's been a little bit of fall off, but not a ton. But this is crucial timing when you need those brakes to not let you down.
We've talked a lot about the track officials and representatives. Let's tip our cap to all who have made this possible on the NASCAR and Flow Racing side as well. Many of our teammates arrived here yesterday, quite literally weathered the storm in order to get a head start on preparations for today's broadcast, which kicked off at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Most of our team arrived at or before sunrise. Most of our team going to be going home well after midnight tonight once they pack down and get set to roll on out of this racetrack. No matter when we wrap up and finish, there is a lot of hardworking and dedicated individuals behind the scenes that would allow us to bring you the pictures, sights, and sounds that you were able to see on Flow Racing. Many of them here, many of them back in Concord. And we appreciate each and every one of you have decided to spend your Saturday night along with us to see how this chapter of history for this race will be written. But we cannot thank our entire dedicated team enough for all the hard work they do to allow us the chance to tell the story. But because of them, you get to see it and hear it.
I just love being able to see who is going to win this race. We're back under the yellow flag, and again, caution laps are counting at this point. They were at 177. They're now at 178. You can see them swerving back and forth, trying to keep some heat in those tires. As far as this break was concerned, Eric, with the fact that we haven't seen a ton of fall off, not really shocked that a lot of these drivers didn't want to give up their track position at this juncture in the race. They pretty much got what they have at this point. As you can see, Brandon Willard signaling these cars to choose. It'll be Quapple that goes to the bottom. Yes, Looney to the top side. Cade Brown will go to the bottom. Jake Crum elects to go to the top side. Pretty orderly right now. One to the bottom, one to the top throughout the entire top 10.
Maybe now is not the time to bring this up, but I'm going to do it anyway. In the qualifying races, we would have only had one attempt at an overtime finish. Didn't come into play in all 4 of the races. Let's remind our viewers, as we'll be coming to this restart with 20 laps to go, should we have to rely on overtime, it will be unlimited attempts at a green flag finish for the biggest late model stock car race of the season. Just wanted to throw that out there now. Just in case. Lights are out atop the Toyota Camry pace car. Carson Quapple, the control car. And again, ironic that we've seen the last 2 lead changes amongst these two happen for the car in the top lane. Yet Carson on the choose picked the bottom. We'll see what Looney can do in that outside groove with Cade Brown and Jake Crum in row 2. 20 laps to settle the ValleyStar Credit Union 300 from Martinsville. Little bit of door banging already as they go off in the corner, but Quapple has the lead in hand in the middle of turns 1 and 2 with Looney slotting to second.
It's good to see if Looney can get the drive off the corner, but doesn't look to have it at the moment. Meanwhile, door to door, as tight as these drivers have been pinching each other all night long, Cade Brown right now running in third, trying to get by Jake Crum, and wants to do it quickly. Again, the longer these two stay side by side, the more those top 2 can break away. Lapsevich not able to make it 3 wide, still door to door, dead even for the 3rd spot. Meanwhile, Looney trying to see if he can find a weakness in the 8 car. Carson Quapple to go on by. Does Lapsevich make the move now? Inside 20 to go. Still going to wait to do it.
The gloves may not be completely off, but they're certainly starting to slide their way past the fingers of all these drivers trying to wheel their way up in the top 5 spots.
Where did Casey Kelly come from?
He was in the big crash on the front stretch earlier in this race, now vying for a top 5 spot in what is a double wide knot for 3rd on back while Quapple breaks away.
Despite the fact that he's in traffic, he looks to have one of the fastest cars on the racetrack right now. He's able to clear down in front of Bobby McCarty. Jake Crum still trying to find a way to get down to the bottom where his car has been so strong all night long. Not able to do it. Is there? Oh, that was close off of turn 2 between Lapsevich and Jake Crum.
Casey Kelly trying to follow Lapsevich through on the inside as Lapsevich hugs the bottom of the racetrack.
Oh, we got trouble in turn one. Aaron Donnelly saves it. It looks like the caution flag will be displayed, yes, as I believe the 71 went around for a full 360 but got rolling quickly, but enough to trigger the caution flag with 15 to go.
Aaron Donnelly in his first ever ValleyStar Credit Union 300 for the Hettinger Racing team is going to draw the yellow as we have 15 laps to go now, and that will erase the 2-second advantage seemingly that Carson Kvapil and Mike Looney had over the rest of the field before the yellow flag was displayed.
I think Donnelly driving up to somebody. Again, he was running in about the 12th or 13th spot. I thought initially he was going to be showing some type of displeasure, but again, with how quickly he went around and got rolling, I'm sure it's going to be an argument from his team that maybe he deserves to have his spot back. And perhaps maybe show some displeasure as well.
Maybe try to accomplish two things at one time. There may be a relation between the body panel being peeled back on the passenger side door just behind the right front tire on Sam Yarborough's car and the incident that put us under this caution flag, with the laps continuing to click off. You know, Blake, I can't help but go back and listen to when we got to hear from Mike Looney and the immediate praise and respect that he sent over to the Junior Motorsports crew chief and that of Brian Schaefer, and acknowledging that he knows it's going to be a fierce fight. There seems to be a lot of respect amongst those two, albeit with what's at stake. Granted, Looney's trying to get his second grandfather clock, Carson his first. Not that that's going to play a big role as to how these remaining laps unfold, but I think we're in position that if we are going to see a battle amongst these two, I think we could forecast it to be clean, can't we?
I mean, it's one of those things that you would expect based off of how they have raced each other so far. Again, they've been close. They've leaned on each other a little bit. We kind of saw that earlier with Buddy Isles Jr. and Carson Kvapil in their battle towards the end of their heat. But again, you have a grandfather clock on the line. We saw even what Ryan Matthews was willing to do with Davey Callahan, which I know there's some race fans out there that think, well, if you move a guy, maybe that's not fair. Maybe it is. But a bump and nudge, I don't think that's out of the question either, despite the fact that I know there's still a lot of respect between these two drivers. But also, you got to throw Cade Brown in the mix. Something could happen between your top two. You don't want to bring somebody else into it. Trayton Lapsevich, Jake Crum may have the opportunity to get back down to the bottom. And I tell you what, Casey Kelly, man, was shot out of a cannon on that restart. I know he's back in 6th right now, but my goodness, does the Florence Motor Speedway track champion, I think, have a real shot at this one.
At one point, his car appeared to be in the smoking pile that was the chaos on the front stretch after the big crash that took out Virginia Triple Crown points leader Connor Hall initially after he had some mechanical problems and got turned off the bumper at Tristan McKee. And speaking of that of Connor Hall, he remains multiple laps down. In terms of the Virginia Triple Crown standings, again, very unofficial, but as things run right now, with Sellers still being back in 14th and Cade Brown still in 3rd, Cade Brown might be able to pull off a bit of an upset here tonight. After coming into this evening 5th in Triple Crown points, if things were to end right now, unofficially, it looks like maybe by 1 point, Brown could edge out Sellers for a Triple Crown title.
And you can be sure that Sellers is aware of that, even as he's around those cars further on back. Daniel Silvestri, Sam Yarborough, so he may be out of contention for the win at this point, but knows he wants to win that Triple Crown.
One more shout out to my good friend Justin Mincy, who is actually updating the points right now in real time, again unofficially, but just to give us an idea of how the law of averages fall out. Justin, we appreciate everything you do for all the races in which you're a part of to try to give us some of the statistical information to back up the stories that we represent all of these drivers in their respective racing careers, as we are a half a lap away from the restart. What was initially going to be a 25-lap dash to the finish restarted with 20 to go. Now we're going to hit the reset button and come to the green with 11 laps to go. Carson Kvapil has made it well known how much he wants to win this race. Not sure what the future may hold for this driver beyond 2024 just yet. The rumors are good, but he knows he still has a job at hand. He's ahead of 2016 winner in Mike Looney. They make up the restart with 11 to go in the ValleyStar Credit Union 300.
Early launch for Quapple, but Looney timed it perfectly as they go side by side, but not able to keep up with that 8 car. What a drive through the center of the corner. Carson Quapple cleared by a car length, maybe more. What an incredible restart and drive into 1 and 2 for Carson Quapple.
He turned on the afterburners off turn 2. They're double wide behind him while he tries to set sail as Looney almost bounced off the side of Brown, and he holds second place. Now Jay Crum trying to move Cade Brown up the hill in the battle for third with Lapsevich to the outside.
Brown has to go low to protect that spot over Jay Crum. Here comes Bobby McCarty looking to make a move as well as Crum into the back of Cade Brown. They'll look to go 3 wide, somewhat scattered on the front stretch. Crum not going to back out of it yet. He's there on the inside as Cade Brown trying to hang on to a top 5 spot.
We're definitely at that point in the race now with 8.5 laps to go. That if you can protect the bottom, you'll fade left going into the corner to try to shut the door. Brown couldn't do it there. Here's Crum to fourth. They bounce off each other at the line. Quapple clear out in front, side by side for fourth.
He'll hit yet again as two former track champions at Florence Motor Speedway, now a part of this 3-wide gaggle. It looks like Crum may have it off at 2, but he'll slide again.
Oh!
Crum gets loose. He's all the way up the track. Kelly going to try to pounce, and Cade Brown. Oh, my goodness. How did he save that race car?
And we're not done yet. Still 3 wide in the corner as Brown is watching the Virginia Triple Crown slip away from him as he's still trapped outside. Donnelly up in the air. Brown into the wall. Caution is out. And just like that, Cade Brown and the perhaps Cinderella story to win the Virginia Triple Crown title comes undone in just about 2 laps' time. Silvestri with major damage on the left front of his car after Donnelly climbed over the top of him, but Brown already has the window net down after he got bounced around in a battle with Jay Crum for position, and Brown's race may be over. I have no idea how they saved it in turn number 3, but it's a miracle they made it another half lap before they wadded it up together as Brown will come to the attention of his crew. Let's rewind and see how this all went down in turn 1.
Again, Silvestri kind of slides in there. Donnelly trying to get by on the bottom side. It jumps up on the 17, and Cade Brown, unfortunately, just topside 3 wide. Absolutely nowhere for that 23 car to go, and it all kind of started with, again, Crum, who was challenging into turn 3 the previous lap. Kind of got a little bit sideways, chased it up the racetrack, got into Brown, had that incredible save, but it just started a bad trend for Cade Brown, who, again, we know he has had the speed, we know what a talent he is behind the wheel, and was hoping that as far as the Triple Crown is concerned, that he could avoid some of the black cloud that unfortunately has been hanging over him in his rookie Cards Tour campaign. But you can see right there, dejected at what could have been in a potential Triple Crown there for Cade Brown.
We heard from him pre-race. This is a young man, as you said, Blake, flashes of brilliance all throughout whenever the luck is on his side. And he was right there within reach of a Virginia Triple Crown championship. And his night is going to end prematurely as he is climbed from the car and is sitting on the pit wall in absolute disbelief. Cade Brown is out of the car and okay. Jacqueline is with him.
Unbelievable turn of events for the 23. Cade Brown out of the car. What did you see from your standpoint?
I just saw the car stacking up. I don't know if I pinched him, didn't give him enough room, but I mean, it is Martinsville. Not much more to expect. That was a really good car after about 5 laps, just struggled to fire off there. But I mean, I feel like we're the best out there after 5-10 laps on a longer run. But it's unfortunate, but stuff happens, and we're going to rebuild and try to be better. I mean, I just can't thank these guys. I mean, it's been a struggle all year, and it seems that right as we got something figured out, it's bad for us. So whatever we got to do, this bad luck off our shoulder, but we're going to keep working.
Cade Brown, the Virginia Triple Crown just slipped through his fingers there with a handful of laps left to go.
Well, and again, I think a lot of poise for that young man who just minutes ago had a potential Triple Crown ripped out from under him. And I think showed a lot of class there to be able to take that just after climbing out of the car. So appreciate Cade Brown sharing his thoughts with us. What I'm sure is a very difficult moment for a driver who has had a very rough 2024 season.
Aaron Donnelly joins Jacob Hefner as drivers who have accumulated some air miles tonight after getting up off the ground on 2 separate occasions. Unfortunately for Daniel Silvestri, nowhere to go. And I think once Cade is able to see that replay, he's going to realize that I don't think there was anything wrong that he did there. Once he got kicked up the racetrack and everybody started muscling their way through, and I hate to say that I mentioned the potential of unlimited overtime, we might just get there. As they come to the line this time through, we are showing 3 laps to go. So this should push us into that overtime window to see if Carson Kvapil could hang on for his first ever ValleyStar Credit Union 300 win. And by virtue of the DNF by that of Cade Brown, the pendulum has swung back in a big direction in favor of Peyton Sellers to get himself perhaps another Triple Crown championship.
Trying to look and see, Connor Hall still a couple of laps down behind the race leader, still scored in the 25th position. 2 laps behind your race leader, so going to be tough for him to try and get back on the lead lap without a bevy of cautions here. And Peyton Sellers running up in 10th. Just needs to manage and maintain, but again, we thought the same thing about what Cade Brown had in front of him here. As if we get the one to go right here, it will be a, I guess you call it a natural green white checker. Wouldn't necessarily be an overtime, but doesn't look like that we are ready to do that, so we can throw that out the wayside. It will be some bonus racing here in the ValleyStar Credit Union 300.
And I think it's important to note that we got some new faces up 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. We kind of saw row number 2, row number 3 be similar for the last 2 or 3 restarts. Now we've got some new cars up in the mix. One of them is Trayton Lapsevich. We highlighted his story earlier on in our broadcast, choosing to take his talent south of the border as the Canada native who comes from a litany and family of drivers. Was one of the last entries, one of the last official entries for this race, for the official entry list that was published on the Martinsville Speedway website. Now could see the leaders out of his windshield and will have a pivotal choice to make on this choose, and we will see what that young driver is willing to do to try to win a grandfather clock alongside, potentially, at the very least behind, the Florence Motorsports champion and Casey Kelly, who has rebounded from a missed shifter in the qualifying race to salvage a starting spot in this event and has come back from the multi-car crash that kicked things off for us back on the midway portion of this race, just shy of halfway. That team has done a great job as they come to the choose now, and he is in contention for a win.
And it takes some time to choose here, but again, hats off to Trayton Lapsevich. Maiden year in late model stock car racing, first time that he's seen so many of the tracks that we've gone to, and if anything, after gaining some experience in the ZMAX Cars Tour, running well there, a winner at North Wilkesboro Speedway earlier this year, I was wondering how that adjustment would go with Trayton Lapsevich, who learned how to drive these stock cars on a completely different tire compound, the ST2, to what they're driving on right now, but yet it has not mattered. What is new to Trayton Lapsevich? He has been up for the task. Kelly has a great shot at this as well. And Kvapil, if he has the same drive through turns 1 and 2, I don't know if there's anybody on the property that's going to be able to keep up with that 8 car.
Getting set for an attempt at an overtime finish for the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. Carson Kvapil looking for his first win in this race. Mike Looney his second. Trayton Lapsevich third. Casey Kelly fourth. Here they come. Green flag is in the air. We are underway to settle the ValleyStar Credit Union 300.
Drive down into turns 1 and 2. It'll be the advantage to Carson Kvapil. Looney looks like he might be clear of second, but Kvapil driving away down into turns 3 and 4. He'll have a car length. Can Looney make up any ground? Doesn't look like it's going to happen this time. The white flag is out. 1 lap to go for Carson Kvapil.
Field is pretty much accordion back together for second on back, while Kvapil looks for smooth sailing off turn 2. A little bit of bumper tag behind the leader, but no problem. Carson Kvapil, 2-time Cars Tour champion, and in his 3rd try is going to win himself a grandfather clock. Carson Kvapil wins the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. Mike Looney comes home in second, Trayton Lapsevich third, Casey Kelly fourth, Bobby McCarty fifth. And while the discussions of what this young man's future may look like beyond 2024 continue, he knows he's going to bring some hardware back to Mooresville as the Junior Motorsports team is going to celebrate another win at Martinsville. And for the first time, it is with Carson Kvapil. Restart perhaps of his life on that green-white checkered attempt as he was able to drive away and clear the field coming to the line. And Kvapil now with the reverse celebration to all the fans who have camped out on the back straightaway here at Martinsville. You told the story earlier, Blake. NASCAR Xfinity Series start at this racetrack. It was an opportunity for him to showcase his talents, not only on short tracks, but across a major discipline in one of NASCAR's touring series. And he definitely turned some heads with a fourth-place finish there. Comes back to a racetrack that he's run so well at before in a late-model stock car. It takes him only 3 tries to find his way to victory lane.
What an effort here. It's hard to continue to come up with accolades to talk about the talent that this young man has and this team that has really come together in the last month or so. Again, Junior Motorsports, as far as the Cars Tour is concerned, not the same level of success that they're used to seeing as they approach the middle portion of the season. But as they have gotten to the end, they have really hit their stride. They've gotten Carson back in this race car, and what a job he has done as he parks it right on the start-finish line here at Martinsville Speedway. I'm sure going to have a very happy brother who's been with him throughout the weekend in Caden Kvapil, and his father Travis, who will be happy to see his son bring home a grandfather clock.
Caden actually got to do a bit of a fill-in role for that team and organization after the opportunity for Carson to go off and run a couple of additional Xfinity Series races and some Trans Am equipment that he got to drive up at Watkins Glen a couple of weeks ago. Returned to the Cars Tour for the first time in about a month, last time out at South Boston Speedway. Got right back to form, won his 3rd race of the season in limited starts in 2024. And again, we saw a bit of a teaser earlier on tonight, maybe hinting at the fact that this driver could be moving on to some bigger things in the coming years, but that may not be on the forefront of his mind right now, as he has just captured the pinnacle of late model stock car racing, the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. You see how much this means to Carson Kvapil as he is going to celebrate in front of this crowd here at Martinsville Speedway, a winner. Kvapil waiting for the opportunity to have victory lane brought to the front straightaway for him to celebrate. So he'll have some time to collect his thoughts and composure. Maybe even douse himself with a little bit of cold water after a hard-fought victory for that driver and team. Fireworks going off the back straightaway.
You know, there's a little bit of pickle juice left in that jar. You know, maybe they can bring out the last little bit of that for him to have. It seemed to work for him.
Now would be time for the pickleback shots. Now that the races are in the books, be able to celebrate accordingly. When you look at what Carson has been able to accomplish in the late model stock cars, I mean, 2022, remember he won that title in the Cars Tour, even though he missed a race, had to be set down for something that happened in the latter portion of the season. 2023 backed it up with another championship there. He's also a Cars Tour super late model champion in 2021. He has done so much to prove his ability, getting multiple opportunities to drive the Junior Motorsports NASCAR Xfinity Series car, and seemingly each and every time up front, leading laps, results proving his prowess there as well. Mike Looney and Carson put on an absolute clinic of a fight for the lead in the midway portion of this race, with Carson being able to propel himself out in front when it mattered most at the finish.
Well, again, I remember having a conversation earlier this season with Brett Edwards, the spotter for Carson Kvapil, and just talked about his poise, how collected he is. You hear the same thing from TJ Majors, who gets to work with him in his NASCAR Xfinity Series starts, that nothing rattles him. Even some of the issues that he had in the heat with Buddy Isles Jr., some of the damage that he had, he's somebody that very rarely, if ever, allows the situation to really get to him. No matter what happens, he stays cool, he stays calm, he stays collected, and of course is incredibly talented pace-wise behind the wheel. And that's rare to find in a driver that is as young as he is, but he's got it. There's no doubt about it.
His father remains a very active member of his racing career and community. We mentioned brother Caden. Caden has been vying for some Pro Late Model honors on the Cars Tour side as well, with the family-owned race team and race car in 2024. And just a short while from now, Carson's going to have the opportunity to be introduced to this crowd for the first time in his late model stock car career as a winner of the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. More races on the slate for this driver and team. He's been on quite the roll in this late model stock car, fresh off the win at South Boston, and now taking that here to Martinsville as well. See how many media members have assembled around the Junior Motorsports number 8 car to capture the moment when Carson will be able to jump out and celebrate this top honor.
Again, you can see Brian Schaefer walk over to that car. Again, Mike Looney even said it. He knew that Brian Schaefer was going to turn some riches on this car and make it as good as it was at the end of the night. And there's just no doubt about it. Even with just 2 laps, I mean, again, a green-white checkered for the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. Quapple still managed to find a way to make it almost look easy, completely drive away, several car lengths. And these races, we know what can happen at the end of them if you just have a chance, if you're close enough to try and make a move. And Carson just put that possibility to bed immediately with what he was able to do on those restarts. So he definitely had the car that was just not going to be denied, especially late in the going.
A lot of respect shown amongst the top 2. Mike Looney comes home in second, Lapsevich third, Casey Kelly, Bobby McCarty, your front 5 as the congratulations continue to roll into that of Carson Quapple. And they're setting up the hardware on the main stage right now for Carson to be able to greet it as soon as he climbs from the car. That beautiful grandfather clock being put in position for Carson to be able to lay claim to that trophy and honor, along with the $32,000 prize that comes with winning this race.
Again, that's everything you want to see behind him right there. You can see the grandfather clock starting to be set up. The stage looks like it's just about set as it has been pulled all the way around the racetrack here onto the front straightaway. As you mentioned, a number of other drivers and competitors behind him starting to converse with the outcome of their race weekends, but I'm sure Quapple very anxious to finally be able to climb out, celebrate with his race team that gave him such a great race car all weekend long, and to cherish and finally see that, yes, he has earned a grandfather clock.
I was going to say, Carson has certainly had an opportunity to soak this in as much as he could. He's had a lot of time to think about this one after celebrating a victory. And we're getting close to talk to our winner. Jacqueline Drake is down in victory lane with Carson Quapple.
Congratulations, Carson Quapple. After all of these years, you've had one blank left on that late model stock resume, and it's been this one right here at Martinsville. And right behind you, you're bringing home that grandfather clock. What's going through your mind right now?
We missed.
And your father, Travis, had that plan this entire time.
Man, that's awesome. I mean, this race has been the one that we've been chasing the last 3 years. I've been racing with these guys, and we came up super close last year and the year before, finishing second and third. And I was pretty worried going into this one that we just weren't going to have the speed or something. And fortunately, we had a good car all weekend, and Brian did a really good job with changes and bringing a really fast race car. But we did what we needed to do in the heat race, qualified good. We did everything we needed to do, and brought the Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet back in victory lane.
Your crew chief said just 25 laps to go, and you just need to execute. At that moment, did you think that you had the car to beat tonight?
I thought so. I mean, I wasn't really sure about the guys behind me, if they were riding or if they were going hard. I didn't really know what the deal was. I was kind of out front, and just trying to keep a little bit better lap time than those guys. But we just had a better car at the end, or we made better changes under the halfway break and made the car really good at the end.
There's one trophy that your dad didn't win in his NASCAR career, and it was one of those grandfather clocks. What does that mean to be able to bring that home over him?
It's awesome. I mean, just to be driving and racing with this group and being competitive like this is awesome, and to be able to bring home one of the Martinsville clocks is even better. I'm not really sure how many more of these I'm going to get to be able to do, so this one's going to really be special to me.
Carson Quapple, your ValleyStar Credit Union 300 winner tonight at Martinsville Speedway.
Thanks, Jacqueline. And, you know, Carson, someone who we know to be really, really composed. And I have to say, that's, I don't want to use the word animated, but that's probably the most emotion that I've seen out of Carson Quapple, and the successes that we've been able to follow along with him in his late model stock car career. You could tell just how much this meant to him as he led this field to the checkered flag. Here's a look at our results with Quapple, Looney, Lapsevich, your podium, Casey Kelly with the great rebound from the wreck, and Bobby McCarty rounding out your top 5.
How about the run from Jake Crum? Was up in the mix all night, brings it home in 6th. A very strong run for that number 12 car. Brent Cruz continuing to impress. The youngster at 16 years of age brings it home in 8th. How about Ronnie Bassett Jr.? Again, talked about him late in the going, up into the 8th position. Peyton Sellers hangs on for 9th, and Sam Yarborough drives up into the top 10 late.
And by virtue of that 9th place finish, we believe Peyton Sellers is the Virginia Triple Crown champion. Will wait on official confirmation. Andrew Grady with a quiet night just missed the top 10 by 1 spot. Aaron Donnelly came back to earth after climbing over Daniel Silvestri for 12th. Lee Pulliam's returned to stock car competition 13th with Jared Fryer right there 14th. Millington matched the car number. Doug Barnes returned to competition at 16th. Clay Jones, Camden Gully, Ryan Matthews, and Dylan Harville, your top 20.
Again, what an effort there, especially for Doug Barnes, considering the damage he had in Harville, getting back on the lead lap for a top 20. Unfortunately for Daniel Silvestri, not going to be the result that he would have earned tonight after running in the top 5 for a majority of the race in 21st. Dexter Knight Jr. 22nd. Stallings 23rd. Tristan McKee 24th. Connor Hall trapped a couple of those laps down. Unfortunately was not able to get back up further than 25th. Landon Pimbleton 26th. Cade Brown went for a wild ride after seemingly having the Virginia late model stock car Triple Crown in his hands.
Trevor Ward, defending winner. We spoke from him earlier after the early retirement, and Mason Diaz. Timothy Peters and Jacob Hefner involved in a multi-car crash on the front stretch. Parker Eatman, Carter Langley, Matt Waltz, Kyle Dudley, the quick time setter, Stuart Cruz, and Jason York round out your 40-car field for the 2024 ValleyStar Credit Union 300 here at Martinsville Speedway. His belt. The Virginia Triple Crown champion for the 5th time, Peyton Sellers, is with Jacqueline.
Yeah, getting this Triple Crown championship didn't come without some work and some up and downs for you and the team, Peyton. But getting able to take home your 5th Triple Crown championship, what does that mean to you and being part of this program?
I tell you, it just tells you how hard it is right now in the state of Virginia. There's a lot of good short track racers competing for this thing every week, and it's just an honor to be able to do it. Yeah, we didn't get the finish we wanted tonight, but we had a very strong run at South Boston, a very strong run at Langley, and to come here at Martinsville, we had a good car up until the break and bolted on tires and made a couple of adjustments, and it just wasn't right. So I hate it we didn't have a better finish, but to win this Triple Crown is a very, very big deal for us and our family.
That final restart alluded to Cade Brown getting in that wreck, which ultimately gave you the benefit. Prior to that, what was your team saying in your ear while they were counting down the points?
Yeah, they kept me posted on it pretty close. So we knew Cade was running very good. He's been solid the whole time too for the Triple Crown. So just I knew Connor had bad luck early, and I knew Cade was right there with us. So we were not fast enough to be up there at the end and fell into it. So that's the way it works out. So just really happy for this Clarence Steakhouse team. We've had a good year winning the track title at South Boston and winning the Triple Crown. That's nothing to hang your head about.
Well, congratulations. Peyton Sellers is going to be your Triple Crown champion.
The grand finale of the Pyro coming just in time to celebrate Peyton Sellers' honors. Believe it or not, he was the only driver who made all 3 Triple Crown races to finish in the top 10 in all 3 legs. Came home 9th unofficially at the finish of this race, getting number 5 in the Virginia Triple Crown for that of Peyton Sellers in that number 26 car.
Shows you how tough it is, right? Just having to go out and execute in 3 different races at 3 entirely different style racetracks. South Boston, high speed, Langley, a flat pancake that eats at the tires, and of course coming here to a half mile, you have to earn it. You have to be fast. It's so many different types of racetracks. And what a moment there as you continue to see very happy in victory lane Brian Schaefer, Carson Quapple, and the rest of his junior motorsports team able to celebrate with that grandfather clock. And I think it's one of those trophies that you can never envision until you're standing next to it, just the magnitude of what you just did.
This one will adorn the race name that he was able to capture by virtue of his success here tonight as he begins the hat dance with the many dignitaries who have been here all night long supporting this incredible event. And there have been so many presenting partners and sponsors along with our friends at ValleyStar Credit Union who helped make this race go by. For the presentation of the trophy, we'll throw it trackside.
Biggest, baddest NASCAR late model stock car race on the planet. From ValleyStar, from Martinsville Speedway, all of us, congratulations. What a heck of a run.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's such an honor to even drive this race car, and I've been super fortunate to be with these guys the last 2-3 years and build a really good relationship with this team and put out some really good finishes. And just can't thank Brian, all the guys. They worked their butts off to get us here and to bring me a really fast car. And it all worked out. We had a perfect weekend, and just can't thank all the fans for coming out and everybody on the team, Bass Pro Shops, Junior Motorsports, Chevrolet, Johnny Morris, Kelly LW, Dale Earnhardt Jr., everybody that has a little slice of the pie here. I just can't thank them enough.
Great. I'd like to bring Mike Worrell, CEO of ValleyStar Credit Union, for making this happen and presenting you the most cherished and prized trophy in all of motorsports, the grandfather clock. Mike?
Congratulations, Travis. Again, thank you. Heck of a race. You poured everything into it, obviously, right? So well done. And on behalf of all of ValleyStar employees and my board of directors, we really appreciate it. And great race, young man. Enjoy the clock. Thank you very much. Thank you, Clay.
Well, race fans, again, we congratulate Carson Quapple on tonight.
Carson Quapple is going to have the opportunity to let this one sink in for quite some time as he has wrapped up the presentation of top honors for the 2024 edition of the ValleyStar Credit Union 300 here at Martinsville Speedway. We want to say thank you once again to everyone at NASCAR Regional, along with the Martinsville Speedway and our entire Flow Racing crew, and our hearts continue